Welcome to Pick Me Up, I'm Scared, the podcast.
I'm your host, Madeline.
And I'm your co-host, Kenna.
Okay, Kenna, today I wanted to ask you, do you think utopia is achievable?
Oh yeah, I do. I'm I'm a little bit of a optimist.
Yeah, I could see that.
But also, I just think that thinking that everything is shit and is always going to be shit is not a very useful way of thinking.
It's not. You have to have idealism at least, right?
Yeah, because if you're just like, there's no way anything's going to get better, like, you don't even fucking try.
It's defeatist, for
Yeah.
sure. Yes, I agree. I mean, I feel like nothing's ever going to be perfect, probably, but as long as you're, like, learning and growing from mistakes and actively trying to do better and working towards something.
Yeah, I'm just working for no money Star Trek universe.
Right, exactly. So, like, the idea of perfection, like utopia, that's, like, purity, right? But, like, the actions we take to, like, work towards that, even if we don't achieve it, like, if you're in the process of pursuing it, maybe that's the closest you can be, and in its own way, that's utopia.
For me personally, I don't think that, perfection is, what people actually want. Like, I don't think that, like, I think it doesn't exist. I think, there is a perfect, I don't know, maybe I'm going back to, like, philosophy class where it's, like, Socrates being like, there is a perfect tree, there is a perfect house, there is a perfect, insert Mad Lib here. Like, there's a perfect thing for everybody, so, or not perfect, like, I just don't think it exists, but I think that a world where everyone is taken care of and the only things that, like, we really, like, fight about is, like, personally, I don't like celery, so I'm never eating celery, even in a utopia, and someone else probably loves celery.
I love celery.
So
I do. I love celery.
Those types of types of deals. I wasn't going to mention pineapple pizza, but that is a big one.
Do you like pineapple pizza?
It's okay.
I do not like pineapple, but Modog, my 15-year-old dachshund, she loves pineapple. She's obsessed with it. It's her favorite thing to eat.
Oh, that's so cute.
Isn't that cute?
That's so cute.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing to me about the idea of, like, utopia is that we actually, like, in society do have a lot of data about the best and most efficient ways for certain systems to run. And we know which places are doing the best in certain, like, elements of civilization or society. And I guess the thing that I always get hung up on is, like, it's mythical to us, but all of the components of what makes a better world, they're tangible and they exist somewhere.
Yeah, I was thinking that today. Like, do you ever just have moments where, like, everything is quiet and you just feel like you're in a movie and you just see, like, trash blowing across the highway and, like, you're just like, you notice the smog and you're just like, wow, isn't it wild that we don't need to have trash?
Yes.
And that, like, it could be all clean, like, and I wouldn't have to drive a car on this street worrying about the potholes or taking out my car. I think I was driving on the street. What is it? Oh gosh, Silver Lake Boulevard with the like super wild pothole. It's like earth-shaking pothole.
I think I know the one. Yeah.
So I was just like, it seems like that doesn't need to be possible. But then I started tripping out and being like, well, it's because, like, back in the 50s or before ever, they decided that they had to make trash.
I think they decided it was cheaper to just make trash.
Yeah. Do you like how just, like, it's so simple? I'm like, yeah. I'm an intellectual. They discovered trash in the 50s.
They invented it. They found it.
They invented trash in the 1950s. I'm not researching that further. No.
Yeah, well, I mean, capitalism did discover probably that trash was more efficient than trying to do the right thing or use anything like renewable. So I don't think you're that far off. But the thing I think is really interesting is, like, why can't we take the best of the best, like, all around the planet and use that as our blueprint to work towards a better future and world where we are?
Yeah, I wonder that too. I mean, I know like different things probably work in like different communities and like everyone's different, but I feel like there's like a couple like clear things that we all would like, like for the planet not to explode.
Yeah, I think most people would like for the planet not to explode. I think that's pretty safe to say. So I was thinking about all this and how if we took each element of society that we liked and we wanted to be good and we emulated what the people who figured it out already are doing with it, and we took every little piece that we liked, like Build-A-Bear style, and we built our own society, like, wouldn't that be utopia, or the closest we could get to it anyway?
Yeah. I mean, to me, utopia is like not what we have now. Like, it's basically like everyone is fed, clothed, housed, and is like as happy as you could possibly be on this planet. Like, I know like some nature of our humanity is like, it sucks. Like, we all feel pain. We all die. Like, we all feel sad sometimes. Like, some of that stuff is probably unavoidable, but to me, it's like the happiest you can be under those circumstances.
Right. So all of this led me to today's topic,
Oh.
which is an interesting one. It is inspired by an episode you made a while ago about utopia.
Oh.
Early on. Today we are going to build utopia.
Oh, okay.
We're going to do it.
Oh, my ideas. Oh.
It's going to be great. For anybody who doesn't know, Kenna's first platform she came up with was that everyone gets a mansion, and then recently she added a second thing to her platform, which was, and everyone gets a bazooka.
But the bazooka is a glitter bazooka, so it shoots glitter, but it's glitter that's very sticky. So it's like like when you steal from a bank, not that I have personally stolen from a bank, but when you open up the bag of money, there's like an ink cartridge that like explodes. So like if you go to like a hospital and try to, or like go anywhere to try to wash it off, it does not come off. So everybody knows that you robbed a bank. Like this would be like everyone gets a bazooka with one glitter shot. One. Ever.
And then the glitter never comes off of you. So if someone glitter bombs you, everyone around you knows that you were such an asshole that someone used their one glitter shot on you. That's how much they hated you. It's like a warning sign.
I don't think it would be forever. I think it would be like, it would really suck for like 6 months to a year.
Oh, that's pretty good. I like that better. I do also like that this is amended because originally it was just a bazooka. They killed people.
Originally it was just a bazooka.
Yeah. But then, we were talking about it with some people, and Fernanda was like, I'm just going to steal everyone's bazookas in the middle of the night. And I was like, over my bazooka body, you will. Come for me. Try it. And then it led to a whole fight where now there are 2 B words we're not allowed to say at work. One is boho and the other is bazooka. So it was amended to be a glitter bomb rather than just a normal bazooka.
But the most important thing is the mansion.
The mansion is the most important part. Yes.
I just thought the bazooka was fun.
Yeah, the mansion is good because it's symbolic of the idea of not just subsisting, not just making it like barely, not just squeezing by, but the idea of thriving.
Yeah, and I don't mean a mansion like, in that movie or the documentary where the lady is building the largest mansion in the world and it's like taking like 12 years. Something of Versailles.
No.
The Queen of Versailles, I think it's called. Not like that type of mansion, although maybe, but I feel like most people, their idea of like a really cute place to live is like different, or it's like for me it's like lots of windows, like I have a backyard, like,
the bathtub,
like I have an extra room for like my boyfriend, and like yes, I want a very deep bathtub that is partially outside.
And a room to lock your boyfriend in.
A room to lock my boyfriend in.
He stays in there.
And it's pretty, and there's lots of like cool furniture, and I think most people just want that. I don't think most people want a like 100-room mansion.
No. I want the house from the original 1990s Charmed.
That's so cute. I kind of want, there's this, I actually hate this movie. It's like a Godard movie called Contempt. I hate it except for the house that it's filmed in is like amazing.
That's
it's
your
like,
mansion.
Yeah, it's basically like this like cube that's like on an island, and it's all like kind of like 60s mid-century mod.
That's cool. I can see that for you.
But also that, or Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Also good. You know what? This is interesting because I feel like in my head, everyone's ideal aesthetic, it's a series of 20-year increments that you just go between your whole life. So you're either like 20s, 40s, 60s, 80s, 2000s, or your 30s, 50s, 70s, 90s, 2010s.
I think that would be me.
I think you're the other one because you like things that are more modern and structured, 80s, 60s.
I don't really like the 80s.
Oh, really?
Like, maybe 80s. Okay, 80s punk, cool style. Like, a scene in between style, cool.
I feel like 80s modern.
But I also like mod stuff. And I also like rocker stuff from like the I used to, not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like more like the groupie style of the 70s.
Yes.
I used to really like when I was like younger, but I don't like 50s stuff. Like I don't like rockabilly stuff, but that's just I don't know why.
See, I do. I think you're a 60s, 80s, 2000s person, and I think I'm a 50s, 70s, 90s person.
We might have to
do
debate this
research.
later.
Yeah, this will be a thing.
I disagree.
Okay, I love it. We're going to make Pinterest boards and diagrams. It's going to happen. So for this episode, it is not about rockabilly in the 80s, but I did, in my pursuit of trying to build utopia, come up with 20 things that I think are what make a society.
Oh, wow.
And we're going to talk about all of them briefly. So we're going to look at them, and we're going to see where in the world they're doing it the best, I think. And by the end of it, we will know what our ideal utopia could look like if we combined the best of the best from things that have already been done in the world.
That is cool, because I think sometimes when people are like, we need something better, and you're like, and? They're like, better.
Right.
Or on the opposite side, like conservatives are like, we can't change anything because it can't be done. And then you're like, why? And they're like, because.
Right. Well, I have some data. It not only can it be done, it has been done. And obviously this could be like a 6-month episode series, so we're not going to get too into it. We're just going to do an overview. But I think it's a fun way to open up our perspectives about potential and the possibility for what society could be like for all of us.
Yeah, I just want to build my dream anime-style utopia.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So the thing we're going to start with is transportation, which obviously we've done an episode on transportation. I think it was maybe our third episode or second?
It was pretty early.
It was take the subway to the anarchist moon utopia. But Kenna, just to recap, when you think about your dream world, what does transportation look like there?
To me, it's like high-speed trains, like cars you can like borrow. You know those like rideshare cars that used to be around where it's like if you needed
like
to go
a zip car.
Like a zip car. Like if you're just like, I need a card for this because like the public transportation like just isn't gonna cut it for this. Like where you could just like pick up a car, use it, drop it off. Like you could pick up a bike and drop it off. You could, like to me, like the easiest thing to do is like if you could hop on a really cool train that was like cool looking and clean and like you're like and like just like really easy to like get around. Like if like in LA, that would be so nice.
Oh my God, it'd be amazing.
Oh my God.
Well, there is a place that I think has done this for you.
Huh.
And according to this consulting firm called McKinsey and lots of other experts in the world of transportation, the place with the best transportation worldwide, which is pretty similar to what you're describing, is Singapore.
Really?
Yeah, most years they rank first, and if they don't rank first, they rank second. But it is always ranked first worldwide for the affordability of public transportation, and it usually is first or very nearly first in things like transportation efficiency and safety.
Huh.
And transportation there, it's actually one of the most ecologically sustainable systems in the world. Yeah, and Singapore made an effort to limit the total number of cars on the road there, which contributes to their sustainability in transportation and encourages residents to take advantage of the public transportation system that they put a lot of effort into developing. To own a car there, it's super difficult. You have to get this thing called the Certificate of Entitlement, which means car ownership rates are far lower than in other wealthy nations. And there are also additional fees and taxes for private car ownership in Singapore. So a car that would cost you like $24,000 in the United States, it would be more like $90,000 in Singapore as a result. Yeah, and they do this on purpose because they want fewer people to be driving cars and more people to be using public transportation. So compared to the United States, a car ownership rate of 80%, Singapore's is just 11%.
Whoa.
And the result is an efficient public transportation system with limited congestion. And they do still have things like Ubers and ride shares and things like that, but they're just pretty limited and highly regulated. So in 2011, Singapore embarked on a plan to add over 40 new train stations and expand the city's public transportation network by 30%. So they invested billions and billions of dollars into new rail infrastructure and other improvements. So then in 2013, 2 years later, they made this effort to make it all super affordable too. And they introduced all these new measures, like a 15% discount on fares for low-wage workers, free travel for all children. And all of this ended up benefiting over 1 million passengers on the rail system. And Singapore is not like stopping yet. They still have more plans. They have plans to add 40 new trains that start running in 2024. And by 2050, they have vowed to cut their land transportation emissions by 80%.
Wow.
So they're really trying to get away from using fossil fuels and cars. And they're doing this, of course, by limiting that car access for citizens, but also by creating a cleaner energy bus fleet with electric vehicles and solar panels. And they've already purchased and deployed 60 electric buses.
Wow.
And on top of that, transportation is just like really easy to use. Like they have this thing called the Easy Link card that you can use to get around. And they even have electronic trip planners that you can just access on your phone. It makes it really easy to know exactly where you're going and what public transportation gets you there. And the thing that blew my mind is how efficient it is. So the population of Singapore is 5.7 million people, or around half of Los Angeles County, not the city, but the county on the whole. So last year, an average of 5.3 million passengers per day used public transportation in Singapore. That's almost all of them, 5.7, 5.3. In LA, it's only like 500,000 people.
Whoa.
And we have twice as many people here in LA County. These are both LA County numbers.
Yeah, there's like, I mean, we talked about this before. Like, it's really hard to use public transportation here because it's like, one, it's unreliable. Sometimes you have to like walk like a mile between stops, if not more.
Right.
Like,
but in Singapore, the total commute time, including walking, is 46 minutes. And out of that, the average time spent waiting at a station is only 8 minutes. And the average distance to get to that station is just a little over a quarter of a mile for everybody.
Huh.
Yeah, so in Singapore, I feel like they've done a pretty good job of doing our transportation utopia.
Yeah.
Fewer cars. The cars that are there, it's electric, and they use solar power to help charge them. And then you can just take the train wherever you want, and it's only a quarter of a mile away.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good to me. To me too, what would be nice is like, because sometimes like you do need like a car, or like especially if you have like accessibility issues, or like if you're, sometimes you need someone to come get you and like take you somewhere. Like I think if you had that too, that would be great.
Yeah, and they have that. They have rideshare services and things like that still there. So then the next thing that I was thinking about in Utopia is internet access.
Oh.
I love the internet.
Yes.
What do you think about internet? How would that interact in your dream utopia?
I wouldn't have to pay like $80 a month for my internet.
Oh my God. I was actually going to ask you how much you pay for internet every month in this.
I pay $75. Okay. And then plus like I said 80 because like I had to buy like the router.
Yes.
So it was more for a while, and then I bought like something to like boost the signal.
Oh,
so
right.
Probably like if I like average it out, it's like $80 a month.
Yeah, so I pay $125 a month.
Whoa.
Just for the service, and it's from Spectrum, and that's because it's the only provider in my neighborhood.
Oh, really? I have to do AT&T.
Is it the only one in your neighborhood?
I have no clue.
We have like these monopolies with our internet providers. They can kind of just charge whatever they want, and some people like they just can't get internet where they are in the United States. And my internet, even with my $125 a month I pay for Spectrum, it goes out all the time. It's so unreliable and shoddy. And every time I go on Twitter to be like, is there an internet outage? I'm just going to check. Everyone is just losing their minds.
Oh, yeah. When we were working together just at your house, like, I remember just being like, fucking Spectrum.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And in the United States, our internet is pretty notoriously bad here, especially that we pay so much for it.
Yeah, and like I even got that thing to like boost the signal, and still sometimes it's like slow or like kicks me off when I'm like watching a movie, and
infuriating. So in 2011, the UN actually declared that internet access is a human right and that limiting a person's access to the internet is a violation of their human rights under international law.
Yeah, because you need, like anything that you need to fill out now, you need the internet form. Like when, during COVID to get assistance, you had to get on the internet because or you could call, but they would just be like, you should go on the internet.
Yeah, they would usually give you a recording that they had a high call volume and then they just hang up on you.
Yeah, so it's like you have to use the internet for like most government services. Like, yeah, try filing your taxes not on the internet.
Right, and also like internet is increasingly a tool of communication, especially in places with political or social unrest. So cutting off someone's right to use the internet is a way to cut off their access to information that might keep them safe.
Oh, yeah.
So despite that, American internet ranks 23rd on a list of internet speeds worldwide.
Oof.
So we come in at 33.16 megabits per second. That was in 2020. But the fastest internet in the world that year was like over 600% faster or something.
What?
Yeah, it comes in at 199.15 megabits
What? Where
per
are
second.
they?
It's in this place called Jersey, and it's the largest of the Channel Islands between England and France.
Oh.
It's so much faster than ours. And the countries we probably think of as like not being wealthier than us in the United States, actually a lot of them do have regularly better access to internet than us. And it would be places like Lithuania, Latvia, Puerto Rico, Romania, Slovenia, Bermuda, and Barbados. They all have better internet than us. And one of these countries that has faster internet than us is Estonia. And their internet is provided free via Wi-Fi hotspots, like most places you just go in public.
Oh my God. See, okay, not to go on a rant, but it's just like, when I look at like how much is taken out of my paycheck sometimes, like, guess, you just like look.
You look, yeah.
And I'm just like, what the fuck am I paying for?
We get nothing with our taxes.
I'm paying for this pothole. Like, well, to me, it's like, it's so much money. And I'm just like, there's not a lot of government services. Like, I mean, like, there's the roads, which are not very well kept. There's the shitty police.
Yeah, there's the police that we hate that don't do shit, and then they want to hurt you.
Yeah,
there's
and like
firefighters, we pay for firefighters.
Yeah, and then, but like, I feel like a lot of the firefighters, like, because I live by a fire station, and they're first responders, which I guess is good, but sometimes I feel like it's like they get there because there's no like other social services.
Right.
Like, there's no like someone who could just be like, call the paramedics or call mental health counselor. They just like call the
firefighters.
But
they
I'm
come first.
actually not sure if that's 100% sure. But the thing is, it's just like, and when you look at the budget, it's like all military, and then they spend it on a fucking jet that doesn't even fly.
Exactly. That's what the thing is. It's like, I wouldn't mind paying taxes if our taxes actually did things that were good for our communities, but instead they fund our city, mostly the police, right? It's mostly police budget. Our country, mostly our military, which goes and does imperialist, horrible things in other countries abroad. And then also we know it funds things like we did on our last episode when we were talking about Radio Free Asia and Voice of America, hundreds of millions of dollars per year on these CIA propaganda things.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, I want to pay for the roads, and I want to pay for the school for the children. And like, I think most people are like, yeah, but it's like this other stuff. It's like, I don't need a $1 billion helicopter.
No, that doesn't fly. Well, in Estonia, what they're doing with their money, they are putting these Wi-Fi hotspots in places like parks, airports, restaurants, and even in national forests. And Estonia ranks 24th in Networked Readiness Index. Like, this is like this index of internet performance. And it's the highest ranking Central and Eastern European country on the index. And it is often called one of the most advanced e-societies in the world. Meanwhile, in the United States, 1 in 5 American homes has no internet access.
Really? That many?
Yeah, I was going to ask, because I know your parents live in Colorado. I don't know how rural it is, but do they have regular and reliable access to internet?
Yeah.
Okay, because my grandma lives in Montana, and the only internet provider there is a dial-up service that basically never works.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, in different parts, I'm sure in, like, other towns in rural Colorado, it's, like, not so good.
Yeah, no. Fun random fact about my grandmother. She lives in Montana, and she's a Republican, and she's really mad that the Californians are now moving to Montana. But my family has been in California for generations. She moved to Montana from California. But her favorite thing now is to yell that the Californians are coming to Montana. And I'm like, it's you. You're the one. You're the Californian. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. But yeah, no, she is probably one of those people. I mean, technically she has internet, but it barely works. She's very cut off from the world. So obviously I think that the Estonia internet thing is pretty sick. And I think internet in my ideal world would just be free and everywhere you go.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one I had down as like a component of society is water. Water's important.
Yes.
Yeah, so what do you think, like, do you drink tap water in LA? What do you think about water access?
I drink tap water, which everyone is like, no, but...
Same. No, same. I drink it too, and everyone thinks it's the weirdest thing.
Okay, this is because I used to work at a plumbing company that was union, so they did mainly wastewater treatment plants in Oregon because... I think there's like an Oregon law that says like if you do projects like that, they have to be union.
Oh, cool.
But anyway, so you learn, like because I would talk to the plumbers and talk to the like project managers, and they're like, oh yeah, these like wastewater treatment plants are really good. Like the tap water here is like really, and they like would tell me all this stuff, and I'm just like, oh yeah, the tap water is like totally like, I mean.
It depends on where you are though.
It depends on where you are.
Because Flint, Michigan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But, like, most places in America, the tap water is fine.
Yeah, well, apparently, the cleanest and best drinking water you can get anywhere on the planet is in this town called Puerto Williams, Chile. I thought this was really interesting. According to Ricardo Rozzi, the director of the Antarctic Biocultural Conservation Program, that area in Chile has air and water with a purity and ecosystem that existed before the Industrial Revolution.
Whoa.
Yeah, basically the location of the city means that it's hidden from the Earth's major air currents that push pollution around. So it doesn't get the pollution. So when you drink the water there, it's like you're drinking unpolluted pre-Industrial Revolution water.
Whoa.
Isn't that wild?
That's so cool.
That's the water I want in my utopia. I want the pre-Industrial Revolution unpolluted water.
Yeah.
So this town, Puerto Williams, it has less than 3,000 people living there, and it's at the southernmost tip of the continent. Potentially, it's the southernmost city in the world, depending on your definition of a city. And basically, this is the water we all could be drinking if we had not utterly destroyed the planet with over-industrialization. And in terms of what's realistic for us to achieve, obviously we can't probably go back in time and unpollute all the water, but it might be something more like what Switzerland does with their water. So in Switzerland, 100% of residents have access to a safe drinking water source. In the U.S., by comparison, 2.5 million people do not have access to safe drinking water.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot. Most places we do, but not everywhere. But in Switzerland, the government incentivizes farmers to mitigate runoff, which leads to innovative farming solutions like indoor vertical farms. And lots of people out there see it's like a potential viable way to move forward, like maintaining the integrity and like cleanliness of their water supply. Because even though 6% of Europe's total freshwater stock is stored in Swiss glaciers, streams, rivers, lakes, and groundwater, over half of the land there is dedicated towards farming. And this is just like a random fun fact I learned. During both World Wars, all Swiss citizens were fed only on locally grown food.
Really?
Yeah. Pretty interesting. But the issue is this makes potential contamination a major thing because fertilizers, pesticides, and livestock waste can really easily contaminate the water supply. So Switzerland developed this water infrastructure that's pretty intense in an effort to deal with this. Like 90% of Switzerland's 65,000 kilometer long network of rivers and streams, it's been straightened, dammed, canalized. I guess that's how you pronounce that? Like a canal? Canal?
Canalized?
Like a cannelloni. Canalized. Yeah. Or channeled underground. And their water infrastructure is really interesting because it's managed by multiple levels of government with sovereignty over public waters assigned to these things called cantons or cantons, which is a jurisdiction of voters and local people within individual communities where the water is. And all Swiss people have a legal responsibility rooted in their constitution to take care of their water supply.
Oh.
So they kind of have like a thing where people in their communities are in charge of what happens to their water and how it gets dealt with.
Wow.
And I thought that was pretty good. They have pretty good water access. So I feel like if I can't get the special magic back in time water. That's what I want. I want a water system where we're all encouraged to care for our water supply and keep it clean. And, we have a really strict way of ensuring that it's accessible for 100% of people and clean and good. I think that's my utopia water. And it's free, obviously. Everything's free. So along with water, also another thing I think about is, maybe because we just did an episode about this too, is garbage.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you listen to our episode on garbage, it's episode 38, you'll already know this, but Germany has one of the best waste management systems in the world. Do you remember we were talking about Germany recycling?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
You know my memory.
I know. I have the same bad memory. Americans, though, to start off, our reference point, because Kenna and I are both American, we generate 3 times the global average of garbage per person. Americans are 3 times trashier than the rest of the world.
We're number 1.
But by contrast, German citizens generate half the global average in trash per person. So Americans are 6 times trashier than Germans.
Whoa.
Yeah. See, back in the 1990s, people stopped using refillable glass bottles so often, and that obviously correlated with an increase in single-use containers. Like Kenna was talking about, in the 1950s, corporations started discovering it was cheaper to just do trash all the time instead of trying to use reusable things. So whatever, Germany reacted to this pretty early on by creating a recycling system in the 90s with 6 different colored bins to tell citizens what types of trash goes where. So in San Francisco, we had something similar when I lived there. Anywhere you might see just 1 trash can in a public place. In San Francisco, we had 3 trash cans, and they were all clearly color-coded and labeled for what types of things went in there. And in Germany, they did the same thing, just with 6. They have yellow for plastics and blue for papers. They have white for clear glass. They have brown for colored glass. They have green for green glass. And there's a 6th bin that's just for food waste and organic matter, composting that's not paper, basically. And this has been super successful because German citizens actually use it. They separate all of their trash with care and precision. And also because the city enforces it. There are fines and repercussions if citizens are found not adhering to the system. At first, if you messed up, the trash collectors will just be we're not taking your trash today. It lives at your house. Try again, do better next time. And I really like that. I feel like that's anti-carceral in a really nice way. I like that as a repercussion. But if you keep doing it, then they start to give you fines. And as a result of this, Germany is able to recycle more garbage than almost any other place on Earth. So I think in Utopia, there are probably 3 to 6 different garbage cans everywhere you go, so things can be recycled with ease. Plus, maybe bans on single-use plastic. There is this place called Vanuatu where businesses can face between $175 to $900 in fines per offense if they use single-use plastic.
Really?
They're totally banning single-use plastic, and most of the people there are pretty into it. There's this one woman, Ellen Jimmy, who sells produce at the local farmer's market that's in Vanuatu, and she's yeah, the bans haven't hurt my business at all, and honestly, we're all on board with it because we want to protect our environment.
Yeah.
So I feel that a combo of those 2 places is my utopia garbage.
Ooh.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I also just think, I'm it's hard because, I feel in America, the culture is a little bit don't tell me what to do. I'm not going to separate out shit. For a lot of people. But I feel too, if you had more, compostable stuff, that would be, packaging.
Yeah, for sure.
Stuff that would just, when you get the, corn cups. Mm-hmm. And you, leave them in your car and then they get all melty.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And, yeah, I definitely think that I could see more cities, big cities, having this type of system in America in the future. When I lived in Portland, they'd have you get your compost and you get your recycling, and you get a very small thing for trash.
Yeah, I mean, I also feel there are things that, if you wanted to talk about, the transition from, the United States today into a world like that, how do you do it? And I think there is a lot to be said for something you've said before. It's you just put the policies in place and you normalize them, and within a few years, everybody's just doing it and nobody even thinks about it anymore.
That's what I think. It's that's what happened in Portland. People were mad a little bit because they only did trash collection every other week, so if you forgot, you were fucked.
I kind of like that. That's also passive-aggressive kind of anti-carceral action.
But after a while, nobody notices. Or
right.
or places like who like takeout have like less more like compostable stuff because you like because you're like, oh, I can really fill up the compost bin here. I cannot fill up the trash bin.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, also like at our house, we don't take trash out very often. Like we take our recycling out like definitely every week, but our actual garbage, we take it out less than once a month because we just don't make actual garbage that often.
I wish I could say that. I thought I didn't make that much trash, and then this week I was like, oh, there's a lot of trash.
There's no judgment. We exist in the world, right? Okay, so the next thing I was thinking about for like our utopia, right, is electricity. So, what does electricity look like in your utopia?
To me, it would be like renewable.
Right.
Like it would be like, renewable in a way where like you could still run all your gadgets and stuff. To me, it's like probably solar and hydraulic, wind, and like, I feel like, there's like some scientific way in the future where we'll be able to generate a lot of energy without like fossil fuels or like having like way less waste than like, coal or whatever we use now.
We actually have some examples of places who are already doing that.
Really?
And a good one that you might like is Costa Rica.
Oh.
Yeah, so renewable energy is exactly what you're talking about, like solar power, like wind power. And in Costa Rica, over 98% of the grid, the electrical grid, is powered by renewable energy. And it's been that way since 2014.
Wow.
And in 2020... the president even announced that year, 99.78% of the country's energy was generated from clean sources.
Wow.
Yes. So in 2020, Costa Rica's power came 72% from hydropower, 15% from geothermal sources, 12% from wind, and around 0.5% from solar panels. And clean energy in Costa Rica powers 1.5 million houses and 250,000 businesses. And it also saved the country $500 million since the year 2000 in prices associated with fossil fuel use.
Wow.
So it's one of those situations that we talk about a lot where doing the right thing is actually cheaper.
Yeah.
Like if we made the switch to renewable energy, it would save us millions of dollars because Costa Rica is a relatively smaller country than the United States.
Yeah.
So obviously Costa Rica still deals with gas for their vehicles there. They're not on that Singapore level of renewable energy for transportation. But in San Jose, they are set to release fully electric trains by the year 2050 and to restructure cities to promote walking and biking to minimize car use. And that whole thing about like promoting walking and biking, I feel like this is a thing you talk about a lot when you talk about your utopia, and you're like, it's like a mall, it's like a college, there's a cafeteria, there's a community. And that takes me to the next point, which is urban planning.
Yeah.
So you talk about this a lot. Like, what does urban planning look like in your utopia, though? Let's, like, recap it.
I feel like it's a combo between, like, a college campus and a mall.
I love it.
And, like, and a park. Where it's just, like, like, it's, like, I feel like a lot of people, like, their fondest memories, like, college, or if you're like me and you watch a lot of animes, it's like they're at like a school and they have like the cafeteria and then they go to like a little place for lunch and then they're on the quad and then it's like, but I feel like I was at the mall the other day like getting something and I'm just like, people just like to come here and like walk around, see other people. Like if you go to a place where you're like, I'm picking up groceries and shipping something at the post office and then like going for lunch and
yeah,
like that would be like great because it's like, well, that's the thing now with like where people want to live. They want places that are very like walkable, like that's like the new like buzzword thing where it's like people don't want to live in the suburbs anymore.
Right. So this whole thing that you're describing about the mall and the cafeteria and the walkable stuff, there's a word for that, and you might know it, but I was not familiar with this term until recently, but it's called new urbanism.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so it's premised on the idea of how communities used to be built, with walkable blocks and streets, housing and shopping areas both in close proximity to one another, and accessible public spaces. The quad.
Yeah, plus it cuts down on like having to drive places like... Man, to me, like, I like a place that seems just like dystopian to me is like the like modern American suburb. Like I think of like Edward Scissorhands. I'm like, everywhere's so far. You have to drive. Like
yes, and a lot of distance between things and huge front yards and Yeah, so totally. That is like the opposite of what new urbanism is.
Yeah.
So this thing that's like this new urbanism movement that kind of, you talk about these tenets a lot, actually. It's less focused on the idea of strict districts for certain types of activities, which you've talked about before. How like when we said, oh, like here's an industrial sector, here's a commercial sector, here's a residential sector, like how that is actually really, really bad for like how cities are structured and how like it creates congestion and it leads to all these issues. And new urbanism is also adverse to those sprawling, single-use, low-density patterns of building, like Edward Scissorhands, that are typical of post-World War II developments, which have been shown to inflict negative economic, health, and environmental impacts on communities.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe some people, or like, you know, people will live in rural areas too, which is a little more spread out. But I think, like, a lot of people, like, really enjoy like living in the city if it were laid out like this, you know?
Sure.
But right now I feel like a lot of this stuff now, especially with like, it is reserved for middle to upper classes.
Yeah, well, new urbanism is interesting because they actually put an emphasis on developing within a mixed class. So it's mixed use and mixed class, which is super interesting. So they want all these things. They want the shop fronts, they want the houses, they want the courtyards, they want villages and towns and cities that you can walk around in 5 or 10 minutes and get everything you need. They want the focus on public space and bicycles, plazas, squares, sidewalks, front porches on houses where you can see people, cafes. And actually the front porch thing was interesting to me because when I lived in San Francisco, a lot of houses there have front porches. And I remember it's a very walkable city. You just walk everywhere. And I remember I would not have to plan my days off because if you just walked down the street, you'd pass someone on the front porch that you knew and they'd all be hanging out and that was your day. And this is kind of the idea of new urbanism. And this stuff gets down into the nitty-gritty. According to the Congress for New Urbanism, the size and shape of a plaza will help determine whether it is consistently alive with people or windswept and vacant. Super interesting. They also say the organization of buildings in a neighborhood will help establish its character, and combining appropriate design elements makes places that are greater than the sum of their parts. So it's this holistic approach to designing space, connecting walkable regions to public transportation and having those mixed income living areas, which is pretty rare for most places, I think. And it also advocates for reusing abandoned commercial spaces. So for example, changing like a commercial strip mall type of environment into a full community with mixed use buildings for living and businesses with plants and trees lining boulevards where you can ride your bike. And this whole thing really reminded me of our episode on malls.
Yeah.
I feel like each of these, I'm like, wow, we've done an episode about this in a lot more detail. And it's so funny because when you think of it that way, I'm like, our whole podcast has been building utopia episode by episode all along.
And, but, spoiler, it's a mall.
It's an anime mall. And you get a bazooka. So the main principles of new urbanism, though, like there's 10 of them. And the first one is walkability. So most things within a 10-minute walk, pedestrian friendly. And a part of that also is having buildings be close to the street, like not with huge front yards or set back off the street. You want it close to the street with porches, windows, doors, all right there, visible for people walking by, and also like trees. So the second thing is connectivity, like an interconnected street grid that has networks specifically designed to disperse traffic so you're not in high congestion areas. The third thing is mixed use and diversity, and that's where the thing comes in where like instead of just having one region for shopping, for example, you would have one region with shops and offices and apartments and houses all on site, and they'd be mixed use within the same neighborhood, within the same block, and even within the same buildings, as well as diversity of people from different ages, different classes, different cultures, and different races. And then the fourth tenet would be mixed housing, which would be different types, sizes, and houses of different prices in proximity to each other. So rather than being like, this is the poor neighborhood, this is the rich neighborhood, in one building, you'd be like, here's an affordable studio apartment. Here's a place that a 3-bedroom, like, you know, roommates could live in. And then next door, here's a big house that a family could live in, something like that. And then the fifth thing is quality architecture and urban design, which is like, I think this is your idea of the mansion. It's just to design things with a sense of beauty that makes people actually want to be there and be happy being there. The sixth thing is traditional neighborhood structures with a public space at the center that's a public realm for civic art and like congregation. The seventh thing is increased density, so more buildings, more residences, more shops, more services, all close together and walkable. The 8th is smart transportation with a variety of different ways to get around. So you know how you're talking about with transportation, like maybe use a bike, maybe you rent a car, maybe you take a train, like all of that accessible to you within an area. The 9th is sustainability. So that would be like eco-friendly technology and less emphasis on fossil fuels. And the 10th is quality of life, which is less time spent in a car getting somewhere and more time spent doing things you like and in public spaces with your neighbors to create a sense of community.
Yeah, more time drinking coffee, even though I have just switched to decaf.
That's pretty impressive, honestly.
I can't quit coffee.
It's like a good ritual.
I know. I
Yeah.
love my little warm cup of coffee.
So we actually have like a pretty good example of this new urbanism thing. And it's in this place called Jakriborg in southern Sweden.
Huh.
And it's a central square there, and it's got 5 to 6 story buildings and narrow cobbled streets, and it's intentionally designed to kind of follow this new urbanism way of planning, and it's really cute.
Oh.
Yeah. And obviously also we have other examples that aren't like a full city, but are different areas trying to implement this design thought into smaller communities. There's actually one in LA.
Really?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a few miles west of downtown, I think, and it's like a small new urbanism planned community. But there's like little pockets of this we're starting to see everywhere. And we talked about our mall episode, we talked about how a lot of malls were being converted in that exact same way to like adhere to those principles. So all of that brings us into the next point, which is housing. So we know, Kenna, in your utopia, housing is a mansion.
Yes.
For everyone.
Yes.
Do you care to elaborate on that?
No.
Okay, that's fine. I like it. We can imagine.
Well, I just feel like if you had good logistical planning, everybody could have like a decent sized place that was like really sick.
Yeah, okay, so a thing I think about a lot when I think about housing is a thing you and I have both watched, both together and separate from each other, and because we have ADHD, I think we both forgot we saw it together and then tried to describe it to each other. Yeah, but it's the public houses in Vienna, Austria.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and we watched these YouTube videos, and they showed Vienna's public housing options in Austria, and they have balconies with little gardening areas and families that have lived in them for generations, and these buildings have like swimming pools and saunas and big windows and beautiful design and childcare on site, and people pay like $350 per month for a one-bedroom apartment in them, which is usually like 10% of their income.
Wow.
Yeah, so Vienna, Austria is one of the most affordable major cities in the world, and it usually tops quality of life indexes because of housing like this. And it's not rocket science, right? We want affordable homes that are cute and nice and offer long-term stability in places near where we work and where we want to be, like cities. And in Vienna, they really prioritize this type of housing. One new development they're working on in the suburbs outside of Vienna proper is 60 to 70% affordable housing, and it features a man-made lake for swimming at the center of it. And then there's all these apartments that residents themselves can help design. It's this thing called collaborative housing or self-developed multifamily housing, and it's inspired by squatter movements in Berlin. So these subsidized apartments have areas where people can basically put public spaces for their children or community spaces like libraries or giant kitchens or co-working spaces or lecture halls, and all of the residents get to decide for themselves what goes into the building. So you can also design your own living quarters, and it makes this very community-based focus where people stay there for a really long time because they helped build it.
Nice.
And 62% of people in Vienna live in these low-income public houses, but they're not just limited to the lower class. They're also open to the middle class, and that creates that idea of mixed income housing, which we were talking about before. And it means that these spaces are quote-unquote good enough for the middle class, and therefore really nice places to live for the poor too. It's designed to be more for everyone, and if your income increases as you get older, it's not like they're going to push you out. You get to stay in your community. Instead, they just build more houses to meet higher demands for other low-income people. And the result is that it ends up decreasing segregation within the city. And it does this thing where if you meet somebody and they tell you where they live, you don't get in your head that they're poor or rich or whatever because of it. Because an area or an address isn't synonymous with like a lifestyle or a class level. And since the city's biggest landlord is just itself, it also helps keep private sector rent down because the city is actually setting the market rent. So in the United States, by contrast, we have public housing here, but it was actually designed to fuel segregation rather than to help fight it. And it was definitely not designed to promote positive social interactions and build community. It was kind of here designed to fail. Like in the United States, when we think of public housing, it's usually ugly, it's poorly designed, and like it hardly even exists because of all these restrictions we have on the total available quantity that can exist in a place, or like all these zoning laws we put in place to try to discourage it, right? Mm-hmm. But in Austria, everybody wants these like beautiful, really well-designed community like housing situations within the city. So I think that's my utopia housing, right? These like cool, hip, public housing that's free or super heavily subsidized that you can live in your whole life and really make your own, that has a little space for you to garden and has pools and you get to know your neighbors and it's in a city and like right where you want to be.
Yeah, and me, I'm a little, sometimes I go back to, you know, my childhood being like more rural, and I'm like, I feel like you could make something like that out in rural areas too. Even if like you had places that were more spread out, you could have like, you know, systems where people still can connect with each other, even if they're like living in like not as close proximity to each other.
I think that would be really cool. A thing I think about sometimes is like a rural train system.
Yeah.
To help you like get like every like rural areas still have like a community hub, right?
Yeah, you know, like the bar, the library, the park, you know.
Yeah, and it would be cool too if you could access those from your house. It's like it's not that far off from a possibility where you're like, oh yeah, this stops Bob's house.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
I think that could be super cool. Okay, so on top of housing, the next thing I think about is food. Mm-hmm. So, Kenna, where do you think people have the most food security in the world?
Not here.
And not here. It's getting bad.
I don't know.
Okay, I would never have guessed this either, but it's Ireland.
Really?
Yeah, so based on food affordability, food availability, the quality and the safety of it, as well as natural resources and resilience for things like farming, Ireland comes in number one pretty consistently, and they did again in 2021. And globally, food security is on the decline. Like, lots of countries are really struggling with food security right now, and the United States is included in that, which makes sense because capitalism is a nightmare and the whole planet is a disaster, right?
I just watched this TikTok on the supply chain, and it blew my mind because basically, you know, all the shortages that happened during COVID, it's because companies use this system where it's like they keep inventory on hand, like, in as short amount of time as possible. Like, they only have enough resources to last like maybe 2 weeks to maybe 2 months because it costs them money to store it. Like, it's called just-in-time inventory. And I was like, that is so fucked if something bad happens. Like,
yeah, definitely. And I think that's what we're encountering now. We're having obviously supply chain issues. Another thing I thought was interesting that I saw somebody say on Twitter is like, you're not going to see the ramifications of food shortages in the United States like you think of when you think of like a socialist country, for example. Like, you're not going to see bread lines in the United States because we would never publicly give anybody bread.
No, never.
You know? So it's like the bread line, that the closest thing we would have to that is during COVID when you waited in line at a grocery store.
Yeah, I mean, but also during COVID, a lot of people waited in line at food banks.
That's true, too. Yeah, that's true. We have the food bank system, which it's not super public. It's usually, like, volunteer-based and, like, charity-run. I mean, we do have systems for people to get assistance with food, but they're super, super limited, and it's not extremely accessible. And a lot of people we know, for example, will apply for things like EBT, like food stamps, and they'll make too much money to qualify for a lot. They'll qualify for like $20 a month in EBT food assistance. But it's like, I don't know if they just haven't updated their info in forever with how expensive rent is, but like, these are people who are actually struggling and should be qualifying for this.
Yeah.
Super, super common. But despite all of this, like, falling apart everywhere around us, Ireland has actually managed to do a pretty good job in the food department. And a major component of this is that they take a more natural and therefore sustainable approach to food. Like, for example, in Ireland, they were like, what like grows here easily? What's the easiest thing for us to grow? And it was grass. So since grass grows super easily there and it's natural growing, in Ireland, food production is all based on grass. So they have things like grass-fed animals for meat and dairy. And it also means that their meat ends up being like better for the world because it's better for people to eat than grain-fed meat. Which I don't eat meat, but it does make sense to me because you always see like grass-fed is like a selling point for meat. And all of their meat is grass-fed there because grass naturally grows all over Ireland. Another interesting thing is that 64% of the country is agricultural, and they have over 140,000 farms, most of which is like owner-occupied land. So 32% of farms there were considered very small family farms in 2016, and 93% of people working in the agricultural sector in Ireland that same year were farm owners or members of the farm owner's family. So that means that only 7% of agriculture in Ireland is the result of wage labor.
Whoa.
Yeah, and coming from the Central Valley of California, where I'm from, that statistic was wild to me because most of our food there is grown and picked with horrific labor exploitation, particularly immigrants from Mexico, Central America, and South America. In the United States from 1950 to 1990, the number of self-employed or family farm workers went down 74%, and wage workers in agriculture skyrocketed. By contrast, Ireland's farms today are mostly still worker-owned and operated.
Wow.
And I thought that was pretty cool. Farmers in Ireland also will grow things like barley, potatoes, wheat, apples, cold season vegetables, and mushrooms. And not all of that is like native to Ireland, like potatoes are from South America. But Ireland has this mission still to like reduce the danger of future famines because they obviously dealt with that in the past. And the way they do that is by 3 steps. And the first is trying to increase the production of native foods for local consumption. So obviously it's not all 100% things that naturally grow in Ireland, but they do try to prioritize that kind of thing. The second thing they try to do is decrease imports, so they know they can kind of have enough food on hand if they need to feed their own people. And the third is to export just mainly excess production. They're not getting rid of stuff that they could be using. And it seems like relying on worker-owned farms that emphasize native foods and local markets is just how food would work in utopia. That's what makes sense to me. Not to mention, Ireland became the first country to commit to 100% sustainable food exports by 2016, all verified by an independent third party.
Wow.
So yeah, Ireland sounds like they're doing food pretty well. So the next one that this made me think about, obviously because we're talking about worker-owned farms, worker-operated farms, is work and jobs.
Yeah.
So Kenna, what does work look like in your utopia?
To me, it's like no jobs.
No jobs.
I mean, stuff does. I think like in any society, things have to get done. Like, you know, trash collection, like like building roads, like building infrastructure. Like, I think people generally want like healthcare, and you know, like we were talking about before, it's hard to just locally make insulin.
Right.
You know. So it's like, but I do think that, like, people, like, if they have a job that means something, you enjoy it. Like, I was thinking about the David Graeber, like, bullshit jobs. Like, how many people just have, like, a bullshit job where it's just like, I just enter in things on a spreadsheet. Or I'm like, you know, I do something for this company that seems completely absurd. Like, I think that when you do something that you're like, this is actually important and this helps people, like, you get more of a satisfaction. Like, you know, even if you're, you know, people who are just like in fields where they help people, like, I'm sure like doctors or teachers, or there's more than that. Like, but like any job you do, like I've heard that, like, if you feel like you're helping somebody, that's what gives you job satisfaction. And it doesn't matter what the job, like, you know, even when I worked retail, sometimes, like, when I worked at like a coffee shop in Denver, I was like, sometimes when people would come in and you give them their coffee and they'd be like, oh my God, thank you just for being nice to me. Like, thank you for like doing this. You're like, wow, I helped somebody today.
Yeah, I think it's true that, like, people enjoy elements of society that are, like, how you, like, going to get a cup of coffee, like, going to a bar. Like, people like that, which means that, like, all work in society probably wouldn't be just need-based, right? Because there's, like, a postmodern value associated with community and society that does involve, like, going out into the world and operating in a business fashion.
But I think about people who now, like, who are, like, who do, like, food trucks, or, like, who are, like, chefs, and, like, it's, like, I do not enjoy cooking, but there are people who do, and there are people who be like, I love, like, running a kitchen. Like,
yeah.
I would love to, like, have, like, a restaurant and, like, you know, do that just like to, you know, to feed people and stuff. And, or like people who are just like, I love to make clothing for people, or like, I like to, honestly, like, I feel like before we were talking about jobs that we would do if you, like got the social credibility for them and the money, you'd be like, I would do like data entry all day.
I would love data entry.
Or like,
yes,
pick strawberries, or like, you know, I'm trying to think of like stuff that, or like, yeah, like, I feel like there's no jobs that like you can look down on ever unless you are, I was gonna say like an evil greedy bank CEO.
Yeah, for sure. No,
I
think that people, and also studies show, we talked about this before in our 42069 work week episode, people are happier working 8 hours a week than they are not working at all ever.
Yeah, and I feel like there's probably like, if you could like, I've read somewhere, you know, where they like in pre-industrialized society, people like worked, quote unquote, like 10 hours a week or something, or like 20 hours a week. I feel like you don't need actually that much work to keep a society going if you're doing it in like a really like logistical, streamlined way.
I agree.
People can still do like their hobbies and stuff, or like still do like their own, you know, like I'm using like like their businesses where you're just like, I make stuff, like,
right,
or like, honestly, I think it's fine if you're just like, I just chill.
Yeah. I feel like a utopian job situation would be a society where everything is a worker co-op, maybe. Like, every business is a worker co-op. Like, you were saying, like, yeah, I have my little business, and I'm the one who works in it, and I'm the owner. That's a worker-owned worker co-op. Or you're like, me and my friend do stuff, and we both work in the business, and we're both the owners. Or maybe it's even bigger. Maybe you go to a restaurant, and there's 10 people who work there, and all of them are part owners, and that's their co-op, and that's what they do. And, like, the expectation isn't that you have to show up somewhere 40 hours a week and do all this unproductive labor of marketing and advertising and managing money. Instead, you know, you exist in a place with a big enough social safety net where you don't have to compete on the free market all the time. That's not the system in place. We're not doing capitalism, and you can just provide goods and services to your community as they need and benefit from them.
Imagine how good coffee shops and restaurants would be if they didn't have to worry about the profit margin.
Right?
Or like do all the other stuff. I bet it'd be so good.
It'd be so good. So I was thinking about that, and I was like, well, also, you know, a utopian job would be one where everyone has equal pay. People have lots of time off. Maybe you're only working 8 hours a week. There's workplace input and democracy. There's a good work-life balance. And I was like, oh, that's like our business, but we work 28 hours instead of 8 hours. Yeah. That's like where we work. But there is actually a place who's doing something interesting with work in a similar way. And it's an entire region in northern Italy, and it's the Emilia-Romagna region. And there, 2/3 of inhabitants are co-op members. And co-op work there accounts for 30% of the region's gross domestic product. So one article about the region in Yes Magazine said, picture a day like this. You wake up and head to your job at the small company you own and manage together with your fellow workers, doing high-tech, advanced manufacturing that's too specialized for bigger factories. For lunch, you swing by a restaurant owned by another worker co-op, this one a national-scale firm that serves millions of customers each year. Back at work, you've got a meeting with a local agricultural co-op that's contracted your company to help design some more efficient processing materials for the food they produce and export around the world. Afterward, you meet up with your partner, who works in a social cooperative jointly owned by caregivers and the elders who live and receive their care there. The two of you swing by the local grocery store, part of a national chain owned by its millions of customers, and pick up a bottle of co-op produced wine. This is a day in the life of the cooperative economy in northern Italy's Emilia-Romagna region. Pretty interesting, right?
Yeah.
And the same article went on to say that the growth of Italian co-ops has been fueled by deep connections to Lega Coop and Con F Cooperative, which are organized with strong historic ties to the Italian Communist Party and the Catholic Church.
Interesting.
Right? And these ties create a community of culture that motivates people to work in that capacity rather than just for a profit. So I was thinking about that, and I'm like, that's pretty good. Like, I like the idea of the worker co-ops, and I think, like, my ideal work situation would also be, like, a 28-hour week, maybe like we have at our business, which is pretty much a co-op in everything but name, or like actual legal structure, I guess. It operates like with worker cooperation, but isn't the like co-op designation on our tax forms. Or even less, like the 8-hour work week, you know? And maybe in a world where you aren't working for profit, you just need to do the work necessary to keep your community afloat, housing and infrastructure and food and useful goods. That's kind of like what you do with your 8 hours a week. And you need to work a hell of a lot less because you're not just making stuff endlessly to feed the capitalist profit machine, and you have more time for leisure.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be my work utopia.
Yeah. Me? Oh, I'm so sore and tired all the time. I need like an 8-hour work week.
I think the 8 hours not bad. I feel like you could get it all done in 8 hours.
I'm freaking tired, man.
Yeah, I think you could definitely get it all done in 8 hours. And I think if you don't want to work, or you're like, I can't work right now, that's fine. Yeah. You don't have to. There's enough people who will do it.
I just think there's so much like if you think about all the administrative bureaucratic bullshit jobs, like if you pared it down to just like what really needs to get done and what people want to get done, it's more than enough time.
It's more than enough, yeah. So the next thing I was thinking about in regards to our utopia that we're building is healthcare.
Yeah.
Okay, so this ties into it. How you're like, I'm tired. I don't want to, yeah. So, Kenna, you have had a lot of experience dealing with the American healthcare system, and I am guessing it was not a utopian experience.
It was shitty.
Yeah. So what do you think healthcare would be like in utopia?
Basically, I mean, like, I think it's like you can go to a doctor, it's free, it's good, all your medicine is paid for, and if you need help with something, there's some, like, a caregiver who can come and help you.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, based on this, you might like Cuba's system.
Oh.
So in 1961, the Cuban government created a new national health system called SNS, and they phased out private healthcare while expanding public services. So by 1990, Cuba had eliminated polio, tuberculosis, typhoid fever, and diphtheria.
Wow.
Yeah, and then today, all healthcare there is regulated and paid for in full by the government, so it is free to all Cuban citizens. And Cuba's healthcare costs, like, to the government are 74% cheaper on the whole than American healthcare is.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and Cuba, because like you said, you know, when you cut out all the bullshit stuff, everything runs more efficiently. So when you cut out the privatized, like administration and bureaucracy and the money and you know, that actually makes the whole system a lot cheaper and easier to access. But Cuba's life expectancy is actually higher than the United States. So in 2019, Cuba's life expectancy was 78.8 years, and the U.S. was 78.79.
Wow.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to my mom, and I was just like, we just need to, like, get rid of, like, private healthcare. And she was just like, but what are you going to do with all the people whose jobs it is to, like, put in billing codes and, like, you know, do administrative stuff? And I'm just like, I'm like, well, what about when they, like, phased out, like, the railroads and people started, like, driving cars? Or what about, like, when radio broadcasting gave way to, like, TV? It's like there's always, like,
you just get another job.
Yeah, I'm like, you get
a different job.
You get another job, or you get paid out money, and it would to not. Yeah. I mean, and, like, also in my utopia, you wouldn't have to work, but right. Like, I think a lot of people would, like, I think about so many people who would become healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, if there wasn't such one, like, a financial barrier to becoming that.
Yes.
And that, like, with, like, you know, becoming a doctor, some people go into debt like 6 figures.
Oh yeah, easily.
Like, or like the, like, what, like, if you, like, the hazing system of, like, nursing. Yeah. Like, I was reading about, like, it's the #1 most bullied career.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And the hours are atrocious. It's like everything's horrible. But, like, if you're talking about, like, transitioning the United States into a better system, and you're like, well, what about all these people who have these jobs that are useless? You know, you're like, they'll just get jobs that are useful for society instead. And we already have a system in place to accommodate that transition. It's called unemployment insurance. We already have that.
And everyone could just work less.
Well, or it's like, you know, people are always hiring. Like, people are always hiring. It's not like we have, like, a job shortage, you know? If anything, the same people who are complaining about things like that, well, what will happen to these people's jobs? It's like, you're the same people who are telling us there's a labor shortage. and you can't find enough workers. So it's like we already have the systems in place to accommodate that. It's unemployment insurance. It's already here. Anybody who gets laid off from their job, they go on unemployment, and then it's a transition period for them to find another job, and they'll find another job. And that's just how it goes. And also, that doesn't mean all the jobs are going to go away. They'll transfer over from the private sector to a public sector. So there's still going to be some jobs still in that field, just in the public sector. Yeah. Like Medicare style.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that if you switched everything over to Medicare today, like, probably a lot of those people who work for, like, if you just privatized all the health insurance companies and you're like, you just run the healthcare system.
Oh,
like,
publicized them. Made them public, not privatized.
Yes.
Yeah. The
or,
opposite.
what do you call it?
Nationalized?
Nationalize? I think nationalize.
Yeah.
Like, you could keep a lot of the same people, like, because it's just, like, it's a lot of, like, doctors, nurses, like, there is some, administration that needs to be done, but you would just be administering it for different.
It's mostly the insurance workers who would be the redundancies.
Yeah, and then you could get another thing.
Yeah, well, okay, over in Cuba, where they have free healthcare for everybody, Cuba's infant mortality rate also, it's 3.8 deaths for every 1,000 live births. But in the United States, with our private healthcare that's supposed to be so great, it's 5.6.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's around 50% higher than it is in Cuba, which is pretty staggering. So there's this one American doctor who actually went to Cuba and said that, like, yeah, Cuba, it's not all hype when people talk about their healthcare system. They are actually able to accomplish so much more than the U.S. does, and with fewer resources, usually due to American embargoes, and make it harder for Cubans to participate on the world stage and get access to things. And still, even with those barriers, he was like, yeah, healthcare workers there, they're doing an outstanding job. Like, years ago, Cuba developed a lung cancer vaccine. They tested it through the 90s. The media was starting to report on it in the early 2000s. It's called Climavax. And the U.S. is just now, ironically maybe, due to all the embargoes and talk about the superiority of the private for-profit healthcare system, trying to import it from Cuba to use here.
Yeah, I think I was watching on TV, this was on the BBC, how, like, during the beginning of COVID, like, Cuba sent out all these doctors to, like, help, like, all over, because they're like, oh, it's a thing where, like, it's like, Cuban doctors go out all over the world all the time to, like, help out in other countries. And I was like, I had no idea watching, like, the American, like, news.
Right, yeah. Well, Cuba is so known for its doctors that, yes, they have this thing called the Doctor Diplomacy Program. That's what you're referencing. And they send doctors to help in other countries. They go places like Brazil or Venezuela. They've been to 35 different countries throughout Africa. And they offer to send them a lot of places. And a really fucked up thing, actually, is that the U.S. has been trying to poach Cuban doctors for years because of how talented they are. So in 2006, the Bush administration actually created a special visa for Cuban medical professionals to try to lure them from those missions abroad when they're on them, to try to convince them to come live and work in the United States instead. So yeah, this is a total major thing. So, obviously the healthcare system in our utopia, it's free and it works and it's not driven by profit.
And it's good.
And it's good. So, okay, the thing about the United States and the luring the Cuban doctors with the special visas made me think about foreign policy. So, Kenna, what does foreign policy look like in your utopia? How do you deal with people in other places?
We all get along and vibe, man.
I love it. Vibe it out. Yes. So, I actually try to find some example of I guess a country, because it's foreign policy. It's like military. Like, how does military play into it? So, I try to find an example of people just vibing it out. I was not able to locate many. At a city level, many cities and communities and villages are vibing. At a country level, like, I don't even think a country should exist. So if I had to do it at a country level,
it's just like, yeah,
in my utopia, there is no country, so there is no foreign policy.
We're all
Nothing's
vibing.
Foreign. We are all vibing. But for the sake of the exercise, I was thinking about Switzerland, maybe. It's got the reputation for being neutral. They're not members of the EU.
They still did some stuff in the past.
Oh, they've done some fucked up shit. Yeah. But they're not members of NATO. They only joined the UN late in the game. They do have diplomatic relations with almost a lot of countries, and they've historically served as a neutral intermediary and host to major international treaty conferences, and they have no major disputes in bilateral relations. But you're right, they are not perfect. They have joined in on some sanctions. They've done some weapons dealing.
I don't know the entire history, but it's like, I guess, like, countries that generally, like, get along with everybody else now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not, I should be more international.
Well, Switzerland's interesting. Since 1515, they've only participated in a handful of sanctions globally, and those have been really moderate, and some of their participation was to be like, we should roll back these sanctions that everybody's doing on these countries. And since World War II, they have taken a more active role in international affairs by aiding with humanitarian initiatives, but in regards to military affairs, they have been pretty neutral. They've sold some guns, but aside from that, they have not been involved militarily with other countries. And again, they're not members of NATO, they're not members of the EU, and they only joined the UN in 2002. And in there, they were kind of like, we should do some things with the sanctions. So, you know, they're not perfect, they're not bad. But the thing I thought was super interesting about Switzerland, that I was like, I might take some of this for my utopia, is, okay, they've got this weird thing with the military there. It's really interesting. They don't have a military like how we think of it.
They have the Swiss Guard, right?
Oh, maybe, yeah. It's just like their people are really into guns. Do you know about this?
I saw this on the news or something.
Okay, I think this is your bazooka plan before it changed to glitter, is what I'm talking about here. So, Switzerland has the third highest private gun ownership in the world. There are 46 guns for every 100 people. But not everyone declares them, so that's just a guess. And Switzerland's military is a citizen militia. So all Swiss men aged 18 to 34 undergo military service and are issued with an assault rifle or a pistol just to keep it home. Bazooka. And lots of people think this is why many other countries regard Switzerland as uninvadable. Basically, other countries are like, we can't fuck with Switzerland because literally every single household is heavily armed and they're all the military and they will just fuck us up. Like, the whole country's the military, basically. So despite the high rates of gun ownership, their gun-related deaths are also less than a third of the rate we have here in the U.S. And, you know, obviously Switzerland's a bit too involved in the capitalist neoliberal main stage for me to get 100% on board with their foreign policy as a utopia. But something about the idea of a citizen military that will just kill you if you try them, that sounded interesting to me as an alternative to, like, the military as we think of it, like the military-industrial complex and, like, imperialism. They're literally just, like, it's not an imperialist war machine that's exported abroad to make people richer. It is literally just people in their houses, and then they're like, if you come in my house, I'll shoot you, I'm sorry.
I still like the idea of only annoying weapons. Only annoying, funny weapons.
Yeah.
Like, I still think about, because I'm from a prison town, and when I was in high school, my stupid, like, shitty boyfriend's dad was, like, the dad wasn't shitty, the boyfriend was. He was a prison guard, and he had all these magazines in the house of stuff you could order, and I don't know this is true, but I swear there was, like, a thing that, like, it was, like, a loud sound, like, a and, like, when you put it up against someone's ear, it made them poop themselves.
Oh, okay. I like this. This reminds me of my favorite sketch comedy thing of all time, which is from Upright Citizens Brigade, and it's a home defense system that's just a piece of poop on the end of a stick. So you have poop on a stick, and if someone breaks into your house or whatever, you just put the poop on the end of the stick in their face and try to touch them with it.
This was on Jackass, so basically we're advocating for a Jackass army?
Yeah, I think I like it. There's another thing also I wanted to take elements of. So the foreign policy was hard because I don't fuck with any of this 100%. But, because again, like, there is, in my utopia, there are no borders. Like, we're just, like you said,
and I'm like,
vibing.
and there's, like, no violence.
But there is this, like, section of Athens, Greece, that they, like, took over, and they were like, no, we're not Greece anymore. We're, like, it's, like, an anarchist zone or something. But basically what they started doing is they started just, like, welcoming in refugees from other countries who, like, had nowhere to go. And they were like, yeah, you live here now. You live in our neighborhood, our anarchist neighborhood. And all of these refugees were like, yeah, they saved my life. Like, no country would, like, take me in. There was no place for me to go in these refugee camps. And this group of, like, weirdo fucking punk anarchists welcomed us in. And also they ran it, like, militantly anti-racist. They were like, if anybody does anything racist, like, we beat the shit out of you with baseball bats. So all these refugees were like, we felt super safe. Like, there was no racism there. Like, it was really safe for us. And I'm like, that's pretty cool, too. So I think if we have to have a foreign policy, poop on a stick, great. Wonderful. No formal standing militia, but if you piss off the people, They're gonna
fight.
They'll fight you. They'll fight you. Maybe with the poop. We don't know. Also, open borders. Come on in. Come join. You need somewhere to go? Come on in. Also, anyone says anything racist, we just beat the shit out of them. I liked all those elements, and that's what I cobbled together for my foreign policy utopia. But that was a hard one. That was the most challenging section for me personally. But I think we got some things. Okay, whatever. So, on to the easier shit. The next one is the environment.
Oh, it's nice.
It's nice. We like the environment. What's the environment's role in your utopia?
Trees and plants everywhere.
I love that. Yes.
And flowers. And like other little things. You know what I learned today? That daisies are not weeds, but they're actually really good.
I like daisies. That makes sense to me.
Or not daisies. I'm sorry, dandelions.
Oh, dandelions. Oh, cute. Yeah.
Yeah, like I guess they help the other plants to grow, or they do something with their roots. And I was like, oh, that's so nice.
That is nice. Well, our very first episode was about front lawns and how they're bad, and we need more native plants to be good for the environment and help the bees and everything. And I still stand by that for utopia.
Yeah, I think people in general like plants, and if I only have to go on anecdotally, the succulent craze of the past 10 years.
Yes, that was the thing. That was the zeitgeist. Succulents were the moment.
Just like an entire, it's all succulents and large potted
fiddly figs. I inherited one from my friend. My friend had one, and then was like, I'm not going to be able to deal with this. And then we inherited it, and it grew so large.
It's like 10 feet, dude.
It's a tree that's in my house now. It's taller than my ceiling, so it bends. I have low ceilings, and it's my whole living room. So yeah, people like plants. Basically.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that people like plants.
Yes. So I think the environment in my utopia is handled a lot like these things called the Global Eco Village Network. Have you heard of this? Mm-mm. Okay, so it's 431 eco villages or 8 eco cities, and they're networked together, and they're these intentional, traditional, or urban communities. A lot of them are indigenous, and they consciously try to do the following in regards to the environment: grow seeds, food, and soil through regenerative agriculture, clean and replenish sources and cycles of water, move towards 100% renewable energy and transport, innovate and spread green building technologies, work with waste as a valuable resource, and increase biodiversity and restore ecosystems.
Oh, that's so nice.
And yeah, I love this. And an example of an eco-village might be a place like Kanchi Eco-Village in India. There, residents dedicate their lives to living in peace and harmony with nature, and the villages feature cottages that are built using local materials. They locally produce energy, they grow food organically, and Kanchi offers all the necessary amenities and supplies to just live a natural and comfortable life, like within the community, to encourage residents to have minimal dependence on the outside world, which is obviously good also for emissions. It reduces emissions, like the more you can kind of do things locally. And within the village, the people dedicate their practices to reducing the absorption of more resources than the earth can regenerate. So it's very much sustainable how it actually works. Like, if I take this from the planet, can it grow again? Mm-hmm. It's like a biodome, but not fucked. And not in a dome.
Yeah.
It's like a bio, we're in
a bio world?
It's a bio village. It's an eco village. They already have a name for it. I didn't need to name it. But if you wanted a more city example, there is also Copenhagen. So by 2025, Copenhagen will be a carbon neutral city, which means reducing carbon emissions to a minimum and then compensating for the remainder through other initiatives. And if they succeed in this, Copenhagen will be the world's first carbon neutral major city in just 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think any of that. I like keeping it good for the planet. We like the plants. Fiddly fig trees in every home.
Mandatory. No,
biodome, but not fucked. I think that's our environment utopia. Okay, so the next one was another hard one, actually, because it's money. Oh. In my utopia, there's no money.
Same.
Yeah, it's just all free gift economy. Fuck money, we hate money. And we don't have a lot of official examples of gift economies today, like for a whole city, because usually gift economies exist all around us, integrated into our day-to-day lives. Like when we help out our friends with things, or we do work around our house, or we volunteer, that's kind of like moneyless economy stuff. They also exist in things like free stores, which we see pop up places like Portland, North Carolina, and Florida here in the United States. And a free store is exactly what it sounds like. It's a place to give things away to people for free and accept donations from people for free. And, if I ever get rich and can retire, my dream is to open a free store.
Aww.
Build affordable housing, run a free store. That's how I spend my days. But in the past, before capitalism, we did have gift economies as primary economic models, as David Graeber explains, who we both like.
Yeah.
And he says that what we think of bartering was never actually like a quid pro quo, like barter economy. In reality, people just kind of took care of each other because they knew the community was stronger together. And we have a whole episode about this kind of like moneyless economy thing called Free Craigslist for President, if anyone wants to listen. If we had to use money, though, I think what Japan is doing is super interesting. They're trying out modern monetary theory where they just spend as much as they want to invest in their country and their economy. And experts always are like, oh no, it's going to lead to inflation. But most years they see negative inflation as a result of this and everything's fine.
Yeah.
They're just like, we'll just spend into debt as long as we want. So I feel like if we had to have money, that's interesting to me. But also, I just don't think we need it.
I don't think we need it either. And, yeah, I mean, people are real attached to it, though.
People really like it. But I also feel like it's new. Like, we didn't use money for, like, most of human existence.
Yeah, I think once you start explaining that to people, or, like, you know what? This is fucked. But, like, you know what I think of a lot of times when I think about, like, community, like, that might, like, a lot of Americans might identify with? When I think of, like, Disney towns, like, the towns in like the Disney movies where everyone's like, oh no, like the old woman who lives down the road needs some bread. Everyone's like, we're all baking her bread.
Yeah.
Or like, oh no, like, something's happened to poor Willie. We're gonna help out little Willie.
I like it. Yeah.
I think that people like naturally do that. They're not gonna be like, well, how much does this cost? Like, people aren't saying that.
It's not natural. It's been socialized. And the thing that like a lot of people who are very pro-capitalism, very pro-money, they always think there's this thing called the ECP, the economic calculation problem, that is like somehow going to like debunk the idea of like money not needing to exist. And they're like, well, how do you assign value to things without money then? And you're like, you don't get it. We're not assigning value to things. We don't care. It's not quid pro quo. We're just a community working together because we know that things are easier together. And we already do that in our houses. We're not like, well, the monetary value of the time it took me to take out the trash does not equal exactly the monetary value of the time it took you to do the dishes. So you owe me time, so you can tie my right shoelace now for me. Like, that doesn't happen.
Or like, you owe me $3.75 for the time I took. If someone is doing that in your household, please move.
It's like financial abuse.
It's financial abuse, like that, like get out if you can.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So, the money thing, I think just no, I'm opting out.
Yeah, I think that people think that they want it, but they don't. I mean, it's cool to sometimes like flash like, a bunch of money.
Yeah, aesthetically, it's fun.
Aesthetically, it's fun. Like,
it's aesthetically fun.
Throwing money everywhere, cool.
Yeah, Monopoly money. You could do that with Monopoly money. I think if we have to have money, the modern monetary thing, though, could be interesting.
Yeah.
Could be interesting, but mostly I'm going with none. We don't need it. Get it out of here. I hate it. I don't want to think about it. No, we veto money.
I say only for aesthetic reasons.
Yes,
like,
I like that.
I want a clear beanbag chair just filled with dollar bills.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And then it crinkles when you sit on it.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah.
It's like very satisfying.
Oh, we could mix this in with our flawed foreign policy one, and then everyone just carries around socks of change. On the end of a stick. I like it.
Everyone fights with money. Those like the money guns that you do at like strip clubs? Yeah. You're just like in someone's face like they're like, paper cuts.
Yeah. No, but I do think it's both super realistic to not have a standing imperialist army and also to not have money, even though it's more fun to pretend like it's silly. Those are actually very, very reasonable things.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next sections were things that most people think are boring, the next three sections, but are like really the things that interest me the most. So the first of these three things is legislation.
Oh.
So this is just like lawmaking, like legislative practices. Like, Kenna, in your utopia, how do laws get made? Are there laws?
To me, there's general guidelines. But yeah, okay, I always think about, like, that book, The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin, where, like, their society, they're, like, they have kind of a quasi-religion where a lot of it is based off sharing, like, being cool to another, but there's no, like, formal rules, per se. But if you do something fucked up, you will get beat up.
That's just the consequences for your
actions.
actions.
But it's like, that's what happens now. Like, if you're shitty to your neighbor might come over and punch you. It's kind of like the same. Where it's like, there is no, like, real punishment, but it probably will be met out by the community. Like,
yes.
If you live someplace and you're doing something real fucked up, people will kind of take it into their own hands.
And that's almost scarier.
That's almost scary, but in a way, like, it's kind of what happens now.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's just like, okay, also in that book, there's, like, kind of like a centralized system that, like, meets out all the, like, logistical, like, what we would call bureaucratic stuff. Like, oh, this is where you can, if you need clothing, you can get this. Like, if you need food, like, we run the cafeterias, but they're all cooperative, like, they're not run by, like, what we would consider, like, a federal government. Like, everything is run by the people who are there running it, but there is, like, a general umbrella of distribution for things that are, like, large. Like, we always talk about, like, insulin. Like,
houses, food, medical.
And that is created by different, like, boards that people are on, like, throughout, like, scattered throughout. And I am not a big logistical person, but it does seem that, like, a lot of this, like, you know, if you work at a job where you have a little bit more freedom and you're like, hey, like, what are we going to have in the break room? Are we going to do coffee or tea? Like, you all kind of get together and figure it out. I know that's, like, a silly example, but it's like, if you live in a place, you kind of, like, get a consensus, and people, I also think that there are people who really enjoy doing that stuff, namely you.
I love it.
Figuring out the logistical stuff.
I love logistics.
And a lot of people are just like, I'm vibing along with that.
I think a good example of this actually happened at our workplace. Okay, so were you in the office the other day when Lizzie wanted to get a hydro flask to keep at work?
Yeah.
And Lizzie and I think Kelsey were talking about it, and Kelsey was like, I was thinking Lizzie should get a hydro flask to keep at work because Lizzie hasn't been drinking enough water. And we were like, yeah, you should do that. And then somebody was like, wait, did you mean you think the company should pay for you to get a hydro flask to keep at work? And she was like, yeah. And all of us were like, I don't know. Is that fair? Is that a rule? Can we do that? Is that the rules? And we were all looking at each other like, I don't know. What do you guys think? And then Kelsey said, well, I was thinking because Lizzie doesn't go to the same gym as us, which is more expensive.
That was me, actually.
Oh, it was you. Okay, yeah.
Do you like
so you were like, yes, no, that's perfect. You were here then. Yeah. So you were like, Lizzie doesn't go to the same gym as us, which is expensive. She does horseback riding lessons instead for her physical activity because we do cover physical activity as part of our work fitness plan. So yeah, you said that and you were like, which is cheaper? And then once you said that, we were all like, oh yes, it is cheaper. Yes, and hydration is part of your physical kind of health, and that's part of our healthcare package. Oh my gosh, get the hydro flask. And then Lizzie got the hydro flask. And I think that's a really good example of how you can vibe out laws. What are the rules? Because laws and rules, they're pretty much the same thing. And when that came up, you know, we were like, what is the rule about that? We have to make a new rule now. And it was super civilized, and we all just talked it through. And in the end, Lizzie got the hydro flask.
Yeah.
So I think I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
The coffee and the tea is like that, I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because I was like, oh, this makes sense.
And it did.
And like, where it's just like, yeah, Lizzie wasn't drinking enough water.
Lizzie was not drinking enough water. And I think, and once you explained it, everyone was like, oh, like everybody was like, oh, yeah, that's true. That makes sense. Go. That's a rule.
Do you like how I'd be like, it was actually me?
No, I'm glad because I didn't remember if you were there or what, you know, work is so chaotic.
It is.
It's chaotic.
There's, you know, Kelsey, Kenna, we work next to each other.
You sit right next to each other.
Similar names.
It's a lot. But yeah, I think that is a good example. I think in my utopia, maybe there are a few laws, but the punishment isn't carceral. So, like, the laws are just like, don't hurt people. They'll get mad. You know, shit like that. So it's pretty similar to you, right? And I think in my utopia, the laws are made by the people who are from that area and have been there the longest, living and working there. And I think a good example of that is this place in Mexico that I believe is pronounced Chiron. So there, the locals were starting to get frustrated because people were coming into their space, they were deforesting their land, they were stealing from the community, and they were having this issue with these outsiders coming in and fucking everything up. So one person who lived there was like, yeah, their cars and trucks would drive down all the main roads of our community. They would mock us as they passed by. Not just that, they'd go into stores, they'd ransack them, and then they'd leave, and nobody could say anything. Women, men, all of us, we felt powerless to stop them. Our situation was critical. It was desperate, but nothing tangible could be done because we couldn't agree, and each of us belonged to a different political party. I thought this was really interesting. So community members approached authorities multiple times. They asked for help, and the authorities outside of the city never did anything. So finally they were like, you know what? Nobody is going to help us with this. We need to come up with our own rule. And our rule is you can't come in our city anymore. So they set up these barricades to control who they thought was allowed to come in and out of the town. And they created a neighborhood watch, and they decided to create their own autonomous self-governance. Basically, they were like, we're going to govern our own town and come up with our own rules for how things work here. The community formally requested this and everything, and the Superior Court of Mexico's Electoral Tribunal was like, okay, fine, no elections. You guys do it yourself. You handle it. And boom, they set up this council of elders to help guide self-governance kind of system of management for rules and regulations there since. They have no elections. They operate independent from the formal system of Mexican political parties. It's a communal governing system. And as this one journalism cooperative called Subversiones explains, the people themselves decide what can and cannot be done in the community. And I really liked that.
Yeah, it seems like kind of like if you are in a family or in like a more cooperative learning situation or like a club.
Yeah.
Like you've dealt with this before.
Right,
like,
it's natural.
And sometimes it's like, yeah, it can be trickier with certain things. Like, I think about, like, the Twitter thread where it's like, we had an anarchist meeting and we spent 4 hours trying to figure out if you could smoke weed or not during the meeting. And then we finally figured out that don't smoke during the meeting, but you could smoke right outside. And I'm like, it took you 4 hours?
It's pretty funny. I mean, I think, like, though you're right. Like, even if it takes 4 hours or whatever, everybody figured it out. Like, you know, with us with the water bottle, how long did that conversation last?
15 minutes?
Maybe,
not even that.
5 minutes?
Not even 5.
It was
like
fast.
A couple minutes.
Most things you can figure out, people present their shit, but I think, like, the thing you have to have is mutual respect.
Yeah.
So you go into it, like you were talking about a club or whatever. It's like you have to go into it respecting everybody else. And I think that's part of, like, a cultural experience of respect.
Yeah, I could see, like we work in clothing. Nobody smoke weed in the building because the clothes will smell like weed.
Yes. Yes.
But if you want to smoke weed outside, I don't care.
You can roll the weed at your desk. You can grind it at your desk, but don't smoke inside.
Yes.
And you know what's interesting? We've never formally said that, but everybody knows. Everybody knows. So anyway.
I mean, I would hope so.
Yeah. I think that's legislation, though. I think that's the utopia. The people themselves decide what can and cannot be done in their community. I liked that quote, and I think that is how the legislative process should work.
Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of how people do stuff.
Right. I feel like it is. I feel like it totally is. And yeah, I think that's it. Obviously, I feel like you do need some specific laws that are like protection in place, you know, to protect certain people from harm. I think that's important. Yeah. Okay, so then the next one ties into this, though, and it's the judicial system. Marina Lee to Spain, obviously, is my choice for how justice works.
I forget that one.
Oh, my God. Okay, we talked about it. It's the Spanish communist utopia village.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, for me, it's this thing. They have no police there, and it works well. They also have no crime.
Oh.
They got nothing because they take a transformative justice approach, and instead they just give all the people what they need to thrive and prosper. So it's a town of 2,700 people. Workers there earn $1,600 a month. They have their own homes, which they can build themselves. They usually have 1 or 2 cars, and the mayor's like, we don't want police there. Most towns their size in Spain would have 4 to 7 police officers, and they're like, no, we don't have any. We don't need them because we don't have crime. And the reason they don't have crime is because everyone's happy, and they don't have inequality, so there's no need to commit crime. And things that could be considered crime other places, like shoplifting, Marina Lita just decriminalized it. They're like, you're hungry? Take it. Eat. Take what you need to survive. And then they don't have to deal with crime. So what do you think about that? What's like your utopia justice system?
Yeah, that's the same. I feel like the as we've discussed before, like a police force as we know it is very, very modern.
Oh,
extremely modern. And, you know, people, I mean, you have to deal with conflict without the state, without the police forever.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like, really each, you know, the reason why we've never been like, this is the one thing that you do is because each situation is different. Like, there are some things where it's just like, yeah, like, a lot of crime would be decreased if everyone didn't have to worry about money, which we already covered, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like, people aren't stealing. Like, you decriminalize, like, you know, like, drug use. Like, stuff,
right.
like, you know, stuff like, and if you're, like, not dealing with, like, financial crimes, theft, because there is, like, no, like, you know, there's no money, then it's just, like, and there's no reason for graft or, like, you know, and I think, like, you know, maybe not everything, you know, like, there's still some things that would be, like, I'm sure, like, not good would happen, but it's, like, you would take it on, like, a case-by-case basis with the parties involved.
Right. Transformative and then restorative justice.
Yeah.
Transformative justice, transforming your communities into a place that prevent crime from happening before it ever occurs by giving people the resources they need to have good lives. And then restorative justice when crime does occur, you know, focusing on the victim's needs and what they need and taking a non-carceral, which is like a non-prison based way of, like, accountability happening in that situation.
Yeah. And I think about it too, where it's like, we're talking about, like, I was like, dang, like, you're actually the least safe in your own home. Like, with people that you know.
That's true. Yeah.
So why have this, like, huge external police system to punish people instead of creating a society where people understand, like, power dynamics, where people, like, are more community-based, less stressed out, like, you focus more on, like, how do we get along? Like, that's really what you need. Like, you know, healthcare.
Yeah, healthcare, resources. Yep, that's totally it. Okay, so I feel like we pretty much agree on our justice system. Yeah. I like that our differing point on legislation and laws was that for me, I'm like, I think they're laws. And for you, you're like, I think they're strong suggestions. I like that. So, okay, the next one I have in this section of 3, that's like the boring stuff for most people, but the stuff I really think is interesting is administration.
Oh.
Yeah, just like the bureaucracy, you know, the stuff I like.
Some people love it.
I love it. I love it. So what about government efficiency? How do things get done in your utopia?
Well, I think that, like, on one hand, I'm like, oh, well, automation, but you can't automate everything, as we've learned from that episode, the racist ghost in the machine.
Oh, yeah. The robots are all racist, so you can't automate everything, because they do racism automatically.
But maybe in a not racist society.
Maybe in your utopia, you build not racist robots.
I think a lot of things you can automate. Like, when I was thinking about, like, how supply chains work, like, there are people whose job it is, like, purely logistics. Like, people who run, like, transportation company, trucking company. Like, there are people who know how to do that stuff and are good at it. And for me, it would be stuff like, you know, making sure that different areas have supplies of, like, medicine. If there's a natural disaster somewhere, you can have emergency services go to that place in a quick and timely manner. Like, and I think that a lot of this administrative stuff already happens. And when you have more data, more time with people, you know, that people aren't focused on doing bullshit stuff or, like, making, like, I think about, you know, people who are working at pharmaceutical companies making, like, drugs, making boner pills.
Yes.
I'm you know, whatever. Boner pills are fine.
Let the boners have their pills.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, or, like, let's a pill to make you hotter.
I don't know. Boner pill. I think that's the boner pill. Yeah, like, yeah. We're pro boner pill.
But, like you don't need 80 different types of boner pills.
No, the one's probably working fine.
Like, there's probably 2.
Right.
But anyway, now I feel bad talking smack about the boner pills.
That's okay.
I'm just using them as an example. But, like, if you have less, like, people focusing on marketing the boner pills and,
yes.
like, they could be like, oh, well, we actually know how to do, like, administrative stuff for this other thing, but now we just make it towards, like, how do trains run? How do we make sure that, like, the power system is working well and we're not, using up all our resources? Like, we already have administrative systems in place. You just move them to something else, and you probably have people who'd be like, oh, that's a fine job. Like, I don't mind doing that.
Love that job. That would be my dream job.
I would be like, yeah, I would be fine with it. I mean, I still want to I think right now I'm just tired, so I know. My ideal is, like, I just want to sleep all the time.
Yeah, you have sleepcation coming up, though.
I do.
That's going to be nice. It's going to be good.
But, like, I do think that, like, even though administration, like, in my brain seems like a lot, like, when you break it down piece by piece, it's stuff that's already happening.
Yeah, just in a different sector.
And also, in time, like, how we talk about people, like, we're getting so much more productive every year. If we transferred that to being productive and, like, administering stuff, I think a lot of things would go really smoothly with a minimal amount of administrative effort.
I think so too. I love bureaucracy. I love the middleman. I love the citizen working his shitty desk job. I want them to have more power than a professional politician does. I like that. To me, they're the people, the man. So I think administration, because of that, is really important to me. And one of the most efficient and well-organized governments in the world is Estonia.
Don't they also have, like, you can, like, vote by smartphone?
Oh, yeah. This is what makes it so efficient. So I love this, because this ties in kind of with what you were saying. So there's a lot that goes into this, actually. Business Insider says Estonia has the most efficient tax filing system in the world because it's part of an e-government initiative that has saved the country an estimated 844 years of working.
Whoa.
Yeah. And also in Estonia, yes, you can vote online since 2005. And when they first started this initiative, only 2% of people there used it. But by 2019, it was up to 40% of the country. And 99% of Estonian government services can now be handled online completely. They even use the internet to structure cabinet votes for, like, their representatives. They call them ministers. And the Estonian government has reported that its weekly cabinet meetings length and time are 1/16 of what they used to be before the online system was introduced. So I think in my utopia, everything is streamlined through being digital and easily accessible via the internet. Like, imagine, it's like you have one place where you get your library card, your healthcare records, everything you need. It's right there. And all your government services from your phone. You vote, your taxes, your everything. And, basically what I want is free Craigslist on every phone. I want a trading and matching app that links you to whatever you need in a heartbeat. Like, say, for example, you want to move into a 3-bedroom house and you just put up there your match. You try to find a match. Like, I'm trying to leave my 1-bedroom apartment in the city to go live in a 3-bedroom house in the country. And somebody's like, oh, I have a 3-bedroom house in the country. I'm trying to move into the city. Like, let's switch. And then you have, like, a matching app that's on your phone that helps you administer, like, the distribution of secondhand goods, which puts less pressure on, like, the infrastructure of whatever utopian society you're in to create new things for everybody. So you have both working at the same time. So it's like, also you can have an online platform to order from local co-ops in your area, supplies you need. Also, like, the online platform to order, like, your medicines you need and schedule them. So everybody has track of, like, oh, this person gets this much per month, which is kind of like, those, like, online subscription services for medicine?
Kind of.
Yeah, so my dog has one for her medication. Chewy. But, like, if you had that, where everybody could just, like, register, like, yep, here's the medication I need, it's all in there, and then, like, this, the governing body knows that this is how much we have to make for you, and this is how much everybody gets. We know everybody's needs every single month. You could do the same with your food requests, right? Moneyless society. You're just like, here's how much we eat in my house. Like, get it ready for me every month. And it's all administered on your phone. And I think that would be so cool. So you input your data yourself.
Yeah.
I like it. Anyway, so I think the Estonian e-government model is really speaking to me.
Yeah. I mean, I do prefer that, I was gonna say, like, we have cooler phones in the utopia.
Yeah, I think they could be cuter.
Yeah.
I think they could be fun shapes.
Yeah, or like, you're just like, like, I was thinking about, like, if you lived in a place where, like, you had all your needs met and, like, you didn't have to prove anyone else your worth. Like, I'm like, would I be on social media at all? I still probably would. I could take fun photos.
I think it's fun. Yeah, I think I definitely would, but a lot less.
Yeah, I would just be like, oh, I haven't been on here in like 2 months.
I think I would become addicted to a free Craigslist style matching app for free things, though. I'd be like, oh my god, look, I found these noodles in my cabinet. Who wants noodles? And I'd just be on it all the time. I think that would just be, it'd be like a game to me.
I would just like be napping in a forest.
Oh, I love that. You could bring a hammock out.
Yeah.
You'd have Wi-Fi in the forest in our utopia with Wi-Fi everywhere.
Oh, so much sleeping.
Yes.
You can tell I'm tired.
You're tired. Maybe you should take a more time. Oh no, you're going to all the shows all weekend and next week.
Yeah.
Oh, Kenny, big month. Okay, we're almost through our utopia. We're down to our final 4 things.
Oh.
Okay, so the next one is socialization, like community. You know, like building cultures of community, basically. So, what does like community look like in your utopia?
To me, it's chill. Like, I feel like people aren't like fighting each other all the time, and like, I feel like there's some like general like consensus, like unspoken rules that people follow, like don't be a dick, like be helpful if you can, like, you know, respect people, don't judge people, like, you know, be chill. Plur.
Be chill. Be chill. Plur vibes. That's your community.
It's plur vibes. Peace, love, unity, respect.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. Your community structure is a rave.
Yeah.
But like from the 90s before they got super corporate.
Yeah. Like, also like, I like a society that's more like party vibes.
I like that too. You want the party rockers in the house tonight with plur vibes. I love it. I'm into it. Yeah. I feel like in my utopia, socializing is encouraged through good public design, right? Which we talked about. But also there's a culture of community and support. So also plur vibes. And in countries that do the best for this, I think that I was trying to figure out how to quantify this. And one of them I was like, maybe countries with the lowest suicide rates in the world, which would be like Antigua and Barbuda, where the suicide rate is 0.
Whoa.
Yeah, and to me, I'm like, oh, that's good. That means there's like community and support. But another way to look at it too could be like the happiest countries. Be like, what's the happiest country in the world, and what are they doing there with their community? And the happiest country in the world is usually Finland. So in Finland, people actually say that they're happy because there's a lot of equality there in general, like free healthcare, education, generous welfare and social assistance programs, free internet. In Finland, actually, broadband access is a legal right. And it makes people feel super connected to each other. Like there's this thing in Finland called the talkoot, which doesn't translate to English at all, but it's when all of your neighbors in your community get together to like clean up or improve a common living area. And then at the end, you share a meal after all the work is done. So people in Finland will do a talkoot and even pick up trash in the middle of the streets or like clean up like a community center or something. And it's this idea of Finnish volunteer power, and it's an old tradition of collective mutual assistance. And that sense of community, people say it really does contribute to their overall happiness and contribute to why they're the happiest country on earth. So I think maybe in my utopia, every day is kind of a talkoot. Like we work on things together to improve our community as a whole. And at the end, maybe there's some food.
Yeah.
I like it.
Good to me.
Okay. So countdown, final 3. We're down to elderly care. So Kenna, what's like your ideal utopic elderly care?
I mean, to me, it would be still being in the community that you've lived in most of your life and having someone be able to take care of you when you need, and not having to be like, you know, in like assisted living home like the style is now, which seems like jail to me. Like,
yeah.
That is like, does not seem like good to me. I mean, like, maybe like it would be cool. Like, some people would probably be like, I'd rather live with a bunch of like people my age who are older. Like, I get that. Like, but I think a lot of people would want to just stay where they are and know that like, oh, well, like, I'm getting older, I can't use the stairs, but there's someone who's there to help me, like, get stuff up the stairs, or someone someone installs a ramp, someone makes sure that I have, like, someone can come and pick me up if I need it, or I can, drive a car if I can't walk around, it's like stuff like that.
You have like a care provider from the community.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So this is really interesting because actually this one ties in more with the idea of community than I thought it would. But the country that's consistently ranked highest also for elderly care is Finland. And obviously there are other countries where there's like a cultural experience of like living with your family as you're older and your family takes care of you. But in Finland, like as a country, they do rank highest consistently for elderly care because of the sense of community. And they're one of the few OECD countries to have a national quality framework for care of older people. And this framework specifies key dimensions of quality of care like prevention and early intervention, comprehensive assessment and workforce, and certain standards to be like met. So each municipality in Finland is required to provide long-term care for residents of that area, either in older people's homes via home care, like you were talking about, where someone just comes in, or in sheltered housing units if their homes aren't suitable for them anymore, or in like healthcare centers if they require a more serious amount of healthcare provided to them. So in non-urgent cases, all people over 75 there are entitled to an assessment of their need for social services within a specific period. So you can request simple things like, I just need help doing some chores. Or you can request things like, I need in-home healthcare provided for me. Or you can request support services like meal prepping or cleaning or shopping or transportation, like what you were talking about. You can also request even more intensive services if you like. And after the age of 75, every single person there gets an assessment and gets helped out with whatever they need. So they even have like digital check-ins where someone will literally just video chat with you to see how you're doing. Like this one person who's a representative of like the municipality who does this with people says that she once organized a virtual caroling concert for 64 of her elderly clients all online. And Claire Turner, the director of evidence at the Center for Aging Better, says social contact is the stuff of life. That's what is important to us as human beings, and it doesn't change as we get older. It's part of the goal, and it's to encourage people to have more contact with others who share interests or values, and that's a good thing. So Finland also has a nationally funded pension for the elderly to ensure that older people don't live in poverty, as well as accessible facilities like swimming pools, gyms, parks, museums, libraries, and theaters for elderly people to regularly go to and visit. One organizer for elderly care in Finland says, old people are so active in Finland's many local residents and pensioners associations, enjoying social events and trips, and they're increasingly getting involved in voluntary schemes where they can meet and help other pensioners or school kids. And I think that that's probably my utopia. Organized things to do for like the elderly and lifetime care and in-home assistance and cool little communities and clubs you could join as you get older to be around other people and do fun things.
We were talking about at work having our own compound for when we're all older.
Yeah, building our own retirement home for all of us to be in when we're like 80-something, 90. It's so funny, but it's a good idea. You're around
the punk rock retirement home.
Yeah, exactly. We can break bottles on the walls again like we used to when we were teenagers. I'm done with this.
We're going to be so punk.
Okay, we're down to our final two. We're almost wrapped up with our assessment of utopia. So the second to last one is education. So this one's pretty easy, I think. Kenna, what's education look like in your utopia?
Oh, it's like it's free, and like to me it's like some people would love to just spend their whole life just like learning stuff, which I think is cool. Like if you were like, so I just want to learn all about like water filtration, and I want to I want to learn all about like, I don't know, painting. Like I think all of that stuff is really cool. And like, here it seems like, you can go up to like your PhD or your master's, but it seems like, for a lot of people, like you kind of, age out of learning once you reach the end of your college years. So like your 20s, which seems really like too young to me.
Yeah, I think so too. And there's a country that thinks so also. It's Norway. Yeah, this is really interesting because everything you kind of described is how education is different in Norway than in the United States. So in Norway, all college is free and schools are pretty good. And they have a 99% literacy rate. In the United States, it's only 79%.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
I did not realize that.
Yes. Cuba also has a better literacy rate than us. They have a 99% literacy rate as well, or like 100%. And Norway often is ranked in the top 10 education systems worldwide, like paid or otherwise, but theirs is free. And they have one teacher there for every 10 students. And almost every single student in Norway today attends a public school because private schools were actually illegal there until 2005.
Whoa.
So they don't really have like a cultural structured experience for private schools. And studies there are often combined with outdoor experiences. So like if you were taking a class in science, you might actually go outside and observe the aurora borealis, which you can see there. Mm-hmm. And a lot of schools are also present in rural areas because the goal is to offer equal education to everybody. You don't have to be in a city to have access to like a good college experience. And they also have post-secondary vocational school, like after high school. And that would be job training, like still public, still can be free, can last between 6 months and 2 years. But beyond that, there are also continuing education programs for adults. And enrollment in that, which, you know, like tertiary education, which would be like after high school, I guess, maybe after college, would be 76%. And this whole lifelong learning thing, people take it really seriously there. So Norwegian employees can leave their job for up to 3 years to attend additional courses in school. The education sector and the labor market are really closely intertwined, meaning it's super easy to find a job when you're done with school too. And both school and work, like sector, they kind of happen together to fulfill the needs of the country. And most schooling there is free, like tuition at public universities. If you're like a resident there, I think you pay like a nominal fee per year. I think it's like 40 euro. Is Norway do the weird, whatever the currency is. I saw it in passing, but it's a really low amount, like per year. But if you needed a loan for anything, like for anything related to your college, maybe living expenses, who knows, those are interest free. And young students are not given grades for their performance at school until around 12 or 13 years old. And you only have to be in school until 16 if you want. And, you know, you can choose vocational training. You can really kind of choose your own adventure. And you have the opportunity, to just go to school as an adult too and get 3 years off of work to do it. And it's really cool. So I think that's pretty close to how schooling would work in Utopia. So the last one, we're almost through building our perfect world, Kenna. It's been a big day for us.
Yes.
We've come up with so many ideas. It's childcare.
Oh.
Yeah. So in childcare world, what do you think ideal childcare looks like in your Utopia?
Childcare, obviously free birth, like free help, like prenatal, postnatal, and way more help now. Like I keep learning more and more about what it's like to have a baby that they don't tell you, and it's horrifying.
It's so scary. Oh my God, it's so scary.
Like they're like, we can't tell women this or like people who have babies this because they will not have babies.
Yeah, no, I literally saw like people on Twitter being like, this is why we don't tell people this, sweaty. And everyone's like, what the fuck, you need to tell people this. Like this is
so you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, it's like you're not having informed consent to have a baby if you don't know what you're signing up for.
Yeah. And to me, it's like in this modern age, like, you know, because we're, you know, the age we are, we know a lot of people with kids, and it seems like, to me, it seems really isolating if you're like the mate, because it seems like now it's like there's one parent who works and there's one parent who works and does childcare or does only childcare.
Yeah,
like it seems like what I've seen, a lot of the burden rests on one person.
Totally true.
And to me, it's like what needs to happen is like you need to be able to have multiple people take care of one child. Like,
yeah,
it is like I mean here it like, you know, it seems like a lot of what happens is like someone has a baby and their mom or dad or family visits for a little while to help them take care of the baby, and then they leave and
for like a month.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of people don't get that much time off for maternity leave. So you're going back to work after 3 months, maybe 1 month.
Yeah, there's no legally mandated maternity leave in the United States. And most people, if they are offered it, it's unpaid.
Yeah. So it's like you're stressed out. You're not sleeping at all.
You just had to pay thousands of dollars to even have the baby in a private for-profit hospital.
And you're probably dealing with a lot of like medical stuff after, because a lot of people have cesarean sections. That's like major surgery.
So
yeah. It's like you've done all this stuff and like you have maybe a family member helping out a little bit, if at all. Like, and if you're a single parent, it's so fucking hard.
Yeah,
like,
it's really, really gnarly.
So to me, it's just like, you have a kid, like, instantly, like, you have childcare, you have, like, I think, like, a little bit of, like, both community and, like, some other type of help where, like, people come over, they're like, oh, you just had a one of us will help, like, one of us will come over, like, a bunch of people, like, will come over and, like, help you, you know, so you can sleep the first month. And then, like, to me, it's like, what is really helpful for people is to know, like, childcare practices, like, how to get a baby to sleep, like, how, like, what you're supposed to feed a baby, like, because I think a lot of people just don't fucking know.
Yeah, for sure. Or
like,
they do what their parents told them to do, and they don't realize maybe that wasn't correct. Or
or you read a book or a YouTube video and hope to God it's fine. Like,
right.
And to me, it's just like, and there's childcare that's like even like preschool, where it's just like, oh, I need some time to myself. I'm just gonna drop the baby off at the community center. I'm gonna go run errands. I come back, oh, they're good. Or, like, you know, to me, it's like sidewalks, and every place is really accessible if you have, like, a stroller with you, you know, or, and, like, yeah, to me, it's just, like, childcare from, like, the day you're born on, but you, like, also have, like, a team of people helping you, whether that's someone who's, like, you know, oh, my job is, like, I help pregnant people right after they have their baby.
Yeah, that would be cool. I like that. And you know what that reminded me of that we didn't talk about in our healthcare spot, but we should have, is just, like, accessibility in general. Like, to have everything be, like, accessible for people with disabilities and also accessible for strollers, because a lot of people have the same issues in, like, wheelchairs as they do in strollers.
Yeah, or, like, eventually, like, we'll all get old.
Yeah, no, so that's something we're amending to add that into our healthcare thing, but also it does play into, like having strollers be able to go places as well.
Yeah, and it's like, I think that, like also, like, being able to, like, I feel like now, like, also, like kids don't, like, go outside, like, when we were kids, or maybe that's just a thing that people say, you know, nowadays. Like,
yeah, I'm not sure. I
mean, I'm from a rural area, so there was always kids, like, playing out in their yards, or, like...
You know what? On my street, there are a lot of kids playing.
Okay.
Like next door to me, there's 2 little kids, and they're always playing in, like, the parking area of the apartment complex.
Oh, my gosh. This reminded me... Okay, so there's this show on Netflix called Old Enough, and it's about toddlers in Japan who they get their assignments to go out on errands for the first time, and some of these little kids are, like, 2, and their job is, like, the mom's like, okay, you walk to the store and you get an apple and you get formula and you get milk, and the baby, or not, the toddler is like, okay, and like learns to walk, like, stuff that we would never do here, like, very young, and everyone's like, oh, you need help finding the apple, and the little kid's like, yes, can I help finding the apple? I'm going to bring it back. And they have, like, a little errand. I think that, like, giving, like, children a lot more freedom and be able to, like, integrate them more into the community and give them, like, not be like, oh my god, like, someone's gonna, you know, like, they can't handle themselves, or someone's gonna kidnap them, like.
There's a woman I follow on TikTok who does that kind of parenting with her kids. I think they're, like, 2 and 4 maybe right now. Maybe they're 1.5 and 3, and they cook, like, full meals. Like, the 3-year-old like cuts vegetables, makes, like, a full meal, and, like, it's really amazing. And so many people in the comments are always like, wow, I want to, like, do this with my kids. And I think there is a lot of stuff that, like, we just assume children can't do, so we don't, and that, like, adversely impacts them because we, like, decided for them they can't do things.
Yeah, and I think that, like, preschool can start, like, very, very young. Like,
I think so too.
Or daycare. That's what I was thinking.
Daycare.
I feel like so many people, if they could, like, so many people were like, oh, I would love to do, like, child development stuff. Like, there's so many people who, like, want to do that stuff. Like, there's so many people who want to work with kids, but, like, there's other stuff that gets in the way where, like, I don't make enough money. Like, how much do teachers get? Like,
very little.
Yeah. Like,
last time I checked, it was like $35,000
Like, I feel like there's so many people who want to work with, like, little kids and are good at it that like this would actually bring the amount of like very good childcare providers like up. But
For
like
sure.
to me it's just like children need a lot of assistance, and so do the people who are the parents.
Yeah. Well, okay, so everything you've described does sound actually pretty similar to one country.
Huh.
Do you want to guess?
Finland.
It's
again?
Cuba.
Oh,
Again with
interesting.
Cuba. Yeah, everything's Cuba and Finland. So Cuba is actually a world leader when it comes to early childhood development.
Really?
More than 99.5% of young children in Cuba go to daycare.
Oh.
Compared to just 38% of like 3-year-olds in the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
so-
it's expensive here. Like,
Right.
I feel like I know people who pay as much for childcare as they do for an apartment.
Yeah, in Cuba, there's a lot of free childcare, or if it's a cost, it's like $1 a month max or something like that.
Wow.
And then in Cuba, they also realized pretty early on that early childhood is a key period for brain development. So they've invested in the first 1,000 days of every baby's life, basically, or child's life. So they know that during the first 1,000 days, a child's brain develops rapidly, and it can impact everything about like their later experiences. So there's a report called Early Childhood Development in Cuba said family is the centerpiece of the Cuban system. So Cuba strives to equip families with the necessary skills and knowledge to create stimulating, caring, and safe home environments. Daycare centers involve families through monthly group activities, while family doctors provide information on appropriate nutrition and preventing injuries in the home. Families are seen as embedded in the community, which shares responsibility for children alongside state service providers.
Wow.
That's pretty much your system, right?
Yeah, I feel like I just don't know why there's not more like childcare stuff now, especially like if schools are free for kids, like, but it's only for like 5 and up, like why not 5 and under?
And over 18.
And over 18.
Yeah.
For the children of all ages.
Yes. Well, in Cuba, too, monetary maternity benefits are granted towards women who like are working over a period of 18 weeks. So it's paid maternity leave for 18 weeks. So as a mother, you would get paid maternity leave 6 weeks prior to giving birth and 12 weeks after. This is very gender binary language, obviously, but it's taken from like official academia, blah, blah. And fathers or even grandparents get parental leave too. So Cuba has some of the most generous parental leave policies in the Americas.
Oh.
Yeah. There's also, though, Bulgaria too. And there, you can get 58 weeks of paid maternity leave over the course. Now that's like over a year, right? 52 weeks is a year, so 58 weeks, it's over a year. And then there are also places like Finland, South Korea, and Denmark where stay-at-home parents are just paid. They just pay you to be a stay-at-home parent.
Wow.
So I think in my utopia, it's a combination of these things. There's the Cuba system for early childhood development, the free daycares, and the doctors helping you, and the community helping you, and they're teaching you best ways to parent, and they're helping you set up your home to best accommodate your new baby. And also there's generous parental leave for any parents and grandparents. And also I think stay-at-home parents would be compensated if we have money. But we kind of got rid of money. I'm really liking not doing money. So
yeah,
maybe
that gets rid of so many problems.
I know. So I think we don't need that. But if we had to have it, you just get paid to stay home. And yeah, I think that would be my childcare utopia. It would be mostly Cuba with a little bit of Bulgaria, Finland, South Korea, and Denmark mixed in.
Yeah, it's wild how much of this could just be done and it's like, I know there's like a multitude of reasons why, but I feel like the majority of it is literally just like a very few, very vocal, very weird, like Ayn Rand conservative types.
Yes.
Like, or slash like very big business owners, like who make all of this not possible.
Yeah, I think also a lot of people think, like I said this at the beginning, but I really think a lot of the things that we think of as being our utopia, lots of people are like, that's impossible, it'll never work. Which is why I think it's interesting to look at these places and be like, well, maybe everything I want in a utopia doesn't exist in one place, but all of the elements, those elements do exist somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
And you can cobble them together and you can see, like, my example for everything I like does exist somewhere and has worked.
And like, I know people are just like, you would never do that in America. It's just too weird. And I'm like, I think you could. And I think that like people want this. It's like, it's weird though, like you almost have to frame it in a certain way, but everyone wants that. Like that's what I'm saying, like very, very few people do not want this, and it's like the weird Ayn Rand greed is good like types, which are like, those people are bummers and no one wants to be their friends.
I think the main thing that stands in the way is that people have been told that it's too expensive. Like, they're so stuck in the framework of money, and they can't operate outside of the idea of money. So they're like, well, it's too expensive, so we can't have it. And that's why people think it's idealistic. But that's why I think Japan is interesting, because obviously, like, my ideal system would not have money, but that is such a leap for people to even get to that level. You're like, well, look at Japan. They just do all this stuff, and it's been fine, you know? And I think, like, if you could start to show people that, like, we can spend money on whatever we want. Also, if money is important to you, though, we waste money on a lot of shit that doesn't help anybody. Yeah. Like, our military budget, where we're spending $20 on a screw that should be 50 cents. Or, like, you know, the episode we did last week about all these weird radio propaganda programs, some of which don't even work, some of which are very successful, but American people don't even know they're there, and they don't benefit American people. Like, we spend billions of dollars on these things that don't help us all the time. So it's like, I feel like there's some value when you're talking to other people who aren't quite there yet, can't imagine the world that you're imagining. There's some value in being able to use that framework to show them that it's possible, even within like the confines and restrictions of their brain, where they're like, money has to exist and some things are too expensive to do. If you can show them like, it's not too expensive, other places do it, also look what we waste money on, that's like, I feel like maybe that's like baby step one. And then you hit them with the money shouldn't exist over the head maybe a few hours later.
Yeah, and I know it's like, you know, it seems really, really hard to do that now, especially the way that the like electoral system, you know, the system does not want this, you know, like you just think of like, if, you know, if you want to build, for example, like if you wanted to build like a place that was like a utopian mall where that people could live in, they'd be like, what about, you'd have to go to the zoning board and it would take 10 fucking years.
Right.
You know?
Zoning's a major issue here, yeah.
And I think like, the first step is to create an environment where most people want this and know what's going on.
Yes,
like,
I agree.
If you can't do anything else, because I know all that shit is really hard, and it's hard for me to wrap my brain around it, because I'm like, you have to change, like, the whole election system, or do mutual aid, but then how do you do the big stuff like insulin? Like, I'm like, but I feel like the first part is like, just knowing that this shit is possible. Like, it is, like, and what's in the way is, like, stuff that's more people's mindsets. Like, the conservative mindset that it's futile to change, or the mindset that the only way for things to get done is in a vertical power structure where there's millions of layers of power and there's one John Galt at the top. You know, like, you know, I think that, like, it's, you know, it's not, you know, it's like, if people just, if that mindset starts breaking, that like maybe the system that we live in isn't like the only way, like that starts breaking down. Like, you know, I think a lot of like what's happening now is not necessarily like true. Like, people are like, oh, that's not feasible. Like, when you're like, no, literally it is. Like, you know, you could, if you rearrange things, like you could not have a better trash system. You could do this.
Other places
but
do
it's the mindset.
It's the mindset.
It's because people are just like, honestly, I feel like it's like a weird macho thing. It's like it's like I'm
toughing it out. It's the wild, wild west and I'm surviving.
But the thing is, it's like the way that people survived in the Wild West was like, they had their buddies. Like, if they had their families, they had other people in the little,
and also
in the little small Disney town where they're gonna help little Willie out through song and dance.
But also, if the people who are like, I'm in the wild, wild west, you'd probably be the bad guy there. You would probably not be the indigenous person just minding your business, you know? Yeah, it's like, you're probably the villain and you don't even realize it. People, that's what comes with the macho tough guy thing.
And I think people think that they need to boss other people around to be special. I don't know. This is just me. Yeah. Like, you know, and I'm just like, why do people act this way? Like, why do people, you know, people want to be special? But I'm like, everybody is special. That's That's the weird thing. It's like everyone's living their own little unique universe. You know, everyone is a novel, like, or a movie. You know, it's like everyone is so different. And I think if like there's almost like a weird, like, we overemphasize like the power of the individual, yet at the same time, like, paradoxically not respecting it enough.
Yeah, I think that's interesting.
It's hard to wrap my brain around, and like other people probably have, you know, you're way more eloquent on the subject than this.
I think
but
what you're saying is that we mythologize the individual without serving it.
Yeah.
Or serving them.
Yeah, and I think that like what needs to change, along with like, you know, literal stuff like switching over our healthcare to be more like a Medicaid, you know, that is like just a change in mindset and culture.
I think so too. So if you're listening, come along to Maya and Kenna's Utopia. We'll figure out the laws because we disagreed on that. They're either actual laws or strong suggestions, but either way, you might get your ass kicked and you might get shot with a bazooka full of glitter.
True.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Pick Me Up I'm Scared. If you would like to follow us on Patreon, you can find us at patreon.com/pickmeupimscared. For $2 a month, you can get access to bonus content, including 2 bonus episodes a month, which I have unfortunately started referring to as bonies, which is not a great term for it, I don't think. But if you don't want to give us your $2, that's cool too. We're just happy you're here.